That's when you know someone isn't really pushing the compounds and isn't pushing Trenbolone. The guys that always take Trenbolone at higher doses, it's almost like a swollen. When you look at compound selection, I am using EQ with some clients. They're all getting incredible results, but it's never really above anything. Astragalus, NAC, IP6, Tudka, citrus bergamot.
What is IP6?
A low dose of telmisartan and a low dose of nebivolol is extremely effective when it comes to managing blood pressure. SLG2 inhibitors called Jardiance. I'm pretty sure you've probably heard bigger Steve talk about this. However, it's called empagliflozin. Against the contrary belief, I think they are extremely effective. Since we implemented SS31, SLUPP consistently, we haven't backed up his doses. Bearing in mind his doses probably escalated. Ejection fraction went from 43 to 68, and then his kidney values have gone from pretty shit consistently, cysteine C being quite over by a long shot, to all in range. Now we're getting juicy. Not a Trensparent podcast, baby.
What is different about Jordan Peters?
I've watched it from like after your first 5 or 6, I think I started watching it, yeah.
Oh, no shit. So you know the question that I end with then, huh?
Yeah, I quite like that. I'm not sure how I'm going to answer it yet, but I do like it a lot. As you know, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it. Like, it's going to ask me the question, but I don't really know. I don't really know. It's going to have to come from inside, so we'll see.
You don't got very much time left to think about it, but
we'll be good.
We'll get there. No pressure. How you been doing? What have you been up to recently?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. 3 weeks into prep, into a little health phase. Starting with prep off
nice.
In a bit of a different way than I normally do. But I feel great, man.
Why?
Things are moving forward. I've got a lot on my plate, but I like to have a lot on my plate, and life is good. I've got to be grateful sometimes. I think a lot of people, they don't really appreciate the position they're in, and I can definitely see that myself at times, because, man, if I was to look back, right, with what I am now,
yep,
as a 15-year-old, as a 10-year-old, as 11-year-old, man, I would somewhat look up to myself. And even though right now, like, I always think to myself, I'm not what I want to be yet. I'm not the person that I wish to become yet, but I'm definitely on my way there. It's just a sense of appreciation without feeling like you're completely accomplished. I think that's where a lot of people get complacent, where people often get to a certain place and they think that is it, or they think they've reached the pinnacle, or they have a lot of people around them that just give them a little bit too much positive feedback without actually giving them the real feedback, and then complacency begins and nothing moves forward. So, yeah, how are you? You're good? Where you at?
Yeah, man, I've been good, but that resonates with me a lot, man. What am I trying to say? I feel like a lot of people, I feel like it's very common for us to have this, we have this short attention. Well, sometimes the Asian accent comes out a little bit. We have this short attention span and this short time frame of almost like memory, like whatever you live through, like now, today, it's very easy for you to compare to a month ago or even to 6 months ago. But it's always hard for us to, like, we have to actively exercise it like a muscle to remember where you came from. You know what I mean? Which I think for certain people that maybe haven't come from the bottom, it's a little bit tougher. You don't have something to.
My family actually sent me this.
Create some kind of
my family actually sent me this. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's
dude, your fucking video. Can you see that on your side? It only wants to focus on your face. I have no clue what you held up.
It's like an effect. Anyway, I showed you like a picture of the city that I'm actually from, because I'm not actually English, I'm Polish. I came to UK when I was 11. So
nice.
I've got, like, in my office, I've got a picture of the city that I'm actually from. And then I do look at it very often, because I do ponder sometimes, if I didn't come to UK, my life would be very, very fucking different. I would not be where I am today. 100% not. I would probably be in jail. So.
Yeah? Wait, why in jail?
There isn't much opportunity in Poland, especially the city that I'm from. I'm from a city that's actually probably more well known for being right on the brink of the Ukraine border. So do you know when everything kicked off with Ukraine, like the city that everyone went to is the city that I'm actually from. And there's no opportunity there. And like a lot of guys that I hang around with when I was a young chap at like 10, just coming to age of 11, 9 years old, a lot of them guys actually don't live there anymore or are in jail. So there was two options, right? Either wrong path and you probably end up in jail, or move out of Poland and live in UK. And
Okay.
actually a lot of the guys that I actually lived with or lived around me on the same neighborhood, they actually all live near me in UK, which is crazy.
Damn. Those guys selling some good primo, asking for a friend.
Mate, UK is not bad. UK is not bad for primo.
Yeah.
UK is not bad for primo. I think it's just USA. But to be honest, from what I heard in USA, it's always a minefield anyway.
Yeah. What do you feel like was the hardest thing you had to go through as a child? Whether it was before you moved? Moving?
Nah, moving, mate, moving. Numerous things, right? I think in Polish culture, and that's probably something most people don't speak about. And to be honest, I've never spoke about it openly in a podcast, but my parents had their own struggles, right? As we all know, like the culture in Poland is very much alcohol based, where everyone drinks, and that's just the standard, that's just norm. But when you're a child growing up in that environment, I don't think it can create the best emotional maturity for you. I think that was struggle number one, where I've always struggled with a lot of emotions and how to handle my emotions, but also how to even communicate. That's been a biggest hurdle in my life, is learning how to actually effectively communicate without it just being a ball of anger or me just lashing out, or sometimes even not really interpreting how someone communicates with me and taking it in a completely wrong way, taking it out of context. But the hardest real thing that I needed to really go through when I moved to UK at age of 11, right? That was what, 20 years ago now. 30, I'm 31 now. So when I moved to UK at age of 11, back then there wasn't any foreigners in UK, especially to the city that I moved to. I was the first foreign kid that came to the school. So I couldn't speak a word of English. I started in year 7, which in UK, you've got like grades of like year 7, year 8, year 9. So I literally just started school. And man, every day for like the first 6 to 12 months, I would be crying. I'd feel sick, anxious. And I didn't even know what anxiety was until I actually learned like what it's all about. But it would be literally hell for me to just get up and go and have to go to school every day, because I'd either get spat on, I'd get bullied, I'd get punched. Like every day it would be something that's cropping up. And I would be treated like enemy number one, because it was a traditional old English school. And I was literally the first foreign kid coming into the school. Like no colored guys. There was just, traditional English school, especially back in those days. And man, it was, if there's anything that probably toughened me up, apart from my childhood already being quite tough, like that would have been it. Like it was make or break moment, where that already taught me a lot of resilience, where even in situations where I don't want to do something, I feel sick, I hate it, I just have to keep going and just keep turning up. So that was, I mean, and you see this now with culture in bodybuilding, right? You've got a lot of guys and girls that are wanting to do bodybuilding without understanding how hard it actually is. They haven't gone through anything hard in life. And because they haven't gone through anything hard in life, and they haven't really had any hardship as a child or with the family, their life was amazing. And look, it's great, but someone like this stepping into bodybuilding, they will find it very hard. And this is where you see a lot of people say like bodybuilding gives them PTSD and all this BS.
Wait, whoa. Oh, like about their like diet and shit.
Yeah. It's not that bodybuilding gives you PTSD. It's just that they have never been exposed to anything that challenges them. That's bottom line. So yeah, that was a roundabout answer, mate. But hopefully that.
No, but I fucking love that. I resonate with that for sure.
Yeah.
Plus, your childhood sounds exactly like mine. At least the portion that you talked about. So I can understand that. I think that's why things, no matter how hard they may be these days, except for the stuff that like relates to, and I hate to throw the word around, but I've been doing a lot of shadow work and I've been going to a lot of therapy and I've been piecing apart my childhood and realizing the problems I do have, just kind of like you have. And it's crazy because it's like, damn, like it took this fucking long. But I everything aside from those little maybe traumas, I guess, that I still have to work through so that I'm not emotionally reactive in certain situations. For example, with my female partner, just because of how my parents were with me when I was a child. Aside from those situations, everything is always easier. Everything is always better for me now versus being a child. Because when I was a kid, I just wanted to fucking die, man. So
I feel you. It's just like,
it's nice to remember your.
I felt almost like alone all my childhood. So I'm not sure if you're the same, but
Yeah.
like my relationships for many, many years, whenever someone gave me affection, whenever someone gave me love, I would push them away because it was like almost like a defense mechanism where someone's showing me love, someone's giving me affection, someone wants to be there for me. I'm not used to that. So I don't want to get hurt. Therefore, I'm going to push them away. So I would go for relationships where I would probably argue with some great women, but I would either push them away because when they did give me love and affection, I would be like almost putting a guard up where like, I don't want this because, I might get hurt or whatever. I think looking back now I understand it more. I understand why I behaved a certain way. And he was even like with being a little bit less than faithful in a lot of relationships in the early days. I mean, I was definitely putting myself in less than favorable situations down to lack of ability to control my emotions. And that always limited me in business, relationships, in everything in life, because if you cannot control your emotions, you're always fighting a losing battle because you will always be reactive to almost anything that anyone tells you. It will either be you putting a guard up with a female, or it will be you not allowing your ego to drop and thinking you know your best in certain business situations. And I think that cost me a lot. And it took me a long time to actually learn and understand how to handle emotions and how to not be reactive. That's probably the best thing I could have done. To be honest, I'm still learning now, especially when it comes to communication, because with what I do as a coach, having business partners, working with my wife, I mean, it's a lot to juggle, but also I have to be on the ball with being able to communicate properly, but most importantly, listen to people properly and not take anything they say and react emotionally. Because back in the day, I would be like, someone would say something that didn't quite sit right, and it would be blowing up straight away. And I think that cost me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could say that I just don't give a shit about anything, honestly. But when it comes to people I care about, specifically when it's like my female partner, but sometimes when it's even just people in the audience that are listening right now, people that follow this podcast, I value all of you guys so much. So whenever I see something that seems like a withdrawal of like that affection or like that care, say like it's from your partner, like whenever I feel that withdrawal, it just kind of reminds me of what I went through in my childhood. And immediately I feel like just dipping, or I feel emotionally reactive. And it's been like in the last few years that I've had to really focus on learning how to respond, take my time, digest this, let the emotions settle, understand the emotions, and then realize what is the response that I really want to give back. And sometimes it takes me a lot of fucking time, man, which is fucking frustrating. But finally, I feel like I'm starting to learn how to respond as I feel like a man should, rather than emotionally react like Child Nile did and punching fucking walls and making holes in my house and shit and running away.
I've got a book for you. Do you read? I probably don't. You probably don't read. You don't take me as a man that reads.
I don't know how to read.
Right.
I got a book a friend sent me, and my therapist. Yeah.
No, you have to read this book.
Okay.
You have to. It's called Think Clear. Think Clear, mate. I promise you, you read that book, it's going to change your life, because you will read it you will read it. And from what you've already said, there's going to be bits in that book that you can relate to so much. And most importantly, the things that are covered in that book will allow you to have so much more control if you learn them, and you will learn them, on how to actually think and how to react. Like, it's all about, the book is essentially all about what you've just said, like how to not be reactive, how to handle your emotions, and how to win in every situation by doing so. By just thinking clear, letting things digest, processing it properly, instead of being reactive, processing it and making sure that you react, making sure that you do not respond based off emotion, and you are not reactive. Mate, it's such a game changer. And it's helped me a lot reading that book, becoming a better coach, because sometimes when you coach a lot of athletes, right, you will have people that will emotionally react to you on your feedback. When they are dieting, when they're in off season, if someone reacts emotionally, they are not thinking rationally. It's more so just like it's almost just how they feel at that time based off something that may have triggered them.
It's what's been up, and you have to release it.
But it's not even.
But they release it to you.
But it's something it's not even to do with your coaching. I've had these situations many, many times where someone will react to me because of what's happening in their life. But imagine this now, right? Someone's working with you to help them, right? They are reactive to you because they're struggling with something. If you then react to them because of how they responded to you, you only make the situation worse. Whereas if you respond in a calm manner and you almost talk to them about the issue, and you're like, look, like, what's going on right now? Let's just take a step back. Or don't respond to immediately. You respond to a really nice message and allow them to see that actually they're a little bit out of line. It completely changes the game, because what you'll find then is people actually open up to you. If I was to react to them, it would close them off even more, and they would continue to react. Yep. Whereas if you respond in a different way and you respond in a calm manner, people are much more likely to open to you because they feel more secure to do so. And I find that even myself, and I find that that's been a massive improvement in my relationships as a whole, both with a partner and just in business, in life in general.
I'll go look into the book, man. Thank you. This actually kind of reminds me of somebody that I've been looking into some of his work, and then I listened to a podcast that he had with Chris Williamson on Modern Wisdom, Jefferson Fisher, on how to have the hardest conversations of your life. And it's literally like he goes over these exact same things. And I literally listened to this podcast yesterday. So it's uncanny that we're talking about it. And I feel like it's been really applicable to what I'm going through now. So sometimes I find it's funny that God and the universe does things like that way. But he said the same thing too. Like if someone insults him, for example, or emotionally reacts to him in that way, normally he takes a step back and they're waiting for that aggressive response in return, right? So normally he just says something just like, can you say that again? And just puts them in this position that they have to realize that what they're doing and what kind of person they're being. And normally people don't want to be like that, you know? So
how many times in your life,
to cause you pain?
How many times in your life have you said something or done something out of emotion and out of being reactive, and then a day later you thought about it and you was like, man, that was so dumb? Because I know myself, I've done it so many times. Like even from that book, what I've learned is like, when you have the handle on that, you never ever put yourself in a position where you are losing, because the second you react to someone, you've lost. Even if you're right and they are wrong, if you react to them, you're done, because you're basically doing what they're doing, but even worse, because you're making the fire even larger and larger by adding almost like extra fuel to it. So man, there's so many things like, and look, like I'm not trying to preach like I'm so know-it-all, like I'm an expert in that field. I'm not. I'm just sharing my own experience and what's actually helped me. But luckily, I do have some great people around me that have been able to teach me and be there for me, to be able to give me a little bit of guide on how to act and how to probably be a man. I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah. Real quick, guys. So while I was looking at the YouTube analytics, I actually saw that 85% of you guys that watch this channel are not subscribed. And I want to ask very little of you guys But if you enjoy this podcast, if you find value in it, then please do me this one favor and subscribe to the channel, because doing so helps me get bigger and greater guests like the guests you are listening to today. Also, this channel is not sponsored, which means only the companies that I work with, which are Young LA and Huge Supplements, are the companies that can help fund this channel by you guys using the code NILE. So code NILE gives you a discount of 15% off of Young LA, and code NILE also gives you a discount of 10% off of Huge Supplements. And if you decide to purchase anything from any of these companies, it will help immensely for me by using my code. And this way, I can travel to other guests and also upgrade in equipment to make this podcast bigger and better for you guys. You talked about your childhood. What do you feel is the hardest thing you've had to go through outside of your childhood since being an adult?
I'll be honest. The only really hard things that I've needed to get through that hurt me in that fashion, and we're not going to talk about contest preps and stuff like that. We can talk about that later on, because there has been some pretty terrible contest preps that I need to get through. But the hardest thing that I kind of had to get through and had to accept was one of my best friends dying in prep in 2015. It was actually in his prep. It was in February, and it was actually a day before Mum and Dad's anniversary. So it's actually not the best of timing, but he was actually in prep. And when I came to see him that night, he died at like 3 a.m. I came to see him at 10 p.m. And like the first thing that he said to me was like, am I still going to make it for the show in 15 weeks? When I walked in, I was like, dude, like, yeah, you'll be fine. It was, he was already in shape. Super great guy. He was like one of my greatest friends. We trained together every day. We spoke every day. And man, him dying just left a massive void in my life for many years. And not many people would even know that, because I don't show my emotions. I don't care what people say. I know Chris Bumstead, he preaches that you've got to show emotions, but that's just not me. If I have to deal with something, I need to deal with it on my own. If I want to speak about it, I will speak about it. But the best way for me to deal with something is just feeling it, accepting it for what it is, and moving on. And man, it's like I still think about him every day now in situations, and that's 11 years later, right? And I remember the day he passed away, the first thing I did, I woke up that morning, afternoon, because my routine was terrible back in those days, off the back of working the doors. I woke up in the afternoon, I went and trained, and I was just literally speaking to him the entire session. And that was like a big year for me competitively as a junior, because I did everything I ever dreamed of that year, and I worked towards since I was a young teen. But it wasn't just the hardest thing that I needed to deal with, because I loved him so much and he meant a lot to me. But it definitely taught me a lot of things, and it taught me a lot more about myself than I already could even fathom, because as much as it hurt, it definitely added a lot of fuel to the fire for me to continue doing what I love and almost execute every day to the best of my ability so I could make him proud in a fashion. As cheesy as it sounds, that's what it was like. Every session, every day, I was like, and because I knew how hard working he was, I almost wanted to impress him with the way I carried myself every single day. And that was definitely a tough one, because I have a lot of acquaintances, right? I have a lot of people around me that think they are my friends, but I don't really class them as friends. The true friends that I have, I could probably count on one hand. It's probably 4 or 5 people. Main ones being called Josh, Ryan, and Dan, and they're not even bodybuilders. They are just guys that I met when I was boxing as a teen.
Yeah.
And he was like part of my circle, right?
Right.
And to lose that, it hurts. And a lot of people say like, yeah, you'll get over stuff. You'll get over certain people when they die. But I still think about him every day.
I don't
So
think you don't totally, you don't really. I mean, you move on to a place where like these memories and the feeling isn't as strong, the feeling of like emptiness and missing them. But dude, there's guys that have lost their best friends or their closest or their loved one, like 30 years later, 50 years later, they're in their 70s
yeah,
and those emotions will still come up. You
yeah,
know? Like that person is a piece of you.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think so. I've still got a picture of him in my dining room. And when I actually move house, I will still have a picture of him somewhere in the house
yeah.
and in the gym. And do you know what?
Yeah.
You asked me that question. What was the hardest thing I need to get through apart from my childhood and everything else? Looking back now, yes, my childhood was probably shit in comparison to some people's. Yes, I had a hard time when I moved to UK. Yes, I had a hard time. My best friend died. Thinking about this now, I'm still extremely fortunate to have such a great life because there is people out there that have had it much worse than I have. Let's face it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm actually of a different opinion to most people as well. Is like a lot of people will very often like use whatever happened to them in life as an excuse. Like, I am a certain way because of this. Everything that has happened for me, I'm also use as fuel to not only become the person that I know I can be, but also prove to myself that I can be better. Like all of these things have almost paved a way for me to build more resilience and be able to work harder in every aspect of life, especially the things that I actually want to do. So as much as hardships, yeah, the shit, at the same time, they can mold you into a better person. Because looking back now, right, if none of these things happened, would I have done the things that I did? Like if Wukash didn't die that year, would I have done as well competitively? And would I have done as well in business that year to be able to create the life that I did? Probably not. If I didn't have the childhood that I did, would I be as resilient and as stubborn as I am now to just be willing to do anything that I put my mind to? And I will give a massive shout out to, I'm not sure if you've heard of a band called Arctic Monkeys from UK.
Oh, I've heard of them.
So Alex, one of the lead singers, right, Alex Turner, his dad taught music at my school. All teachers hated me, like they almost bullied me, right? And Alex Turner's dad, he was always the one that said, this kid can do anything that he puts his mind to. And that has stuck with me every single day. Like I'll never forget that because he said that a few times, especially in situations where I did something wrong. We would have like a meeting. He would always say, this kid can do anything he sets his mind to. And he would always repeat that. And that got in my head so much where if I've experienced something where I have doubts or I don't want to keep going or I don't want to get up and do what I need to do, like that comes back in my head and mate, it's almost like I get another level in me. And I'm like, right, this is getting done no matter what. So I think there's sometimes people can say something to you that will stick with you for the rest of your life. And it can make a great difference in your life, especially teachers, or especially people that are of authority. So you doing this podcast, right? You probably don't realize the potential impact you may have on certain people's lives. Some people watch this podcast, right? And they won't just get amazing information about gear, amazing information about mindset or training. Like sometimes you may say something that will literally change a person's life if it has that impact on them.
Yeah.
It's a little bit deep, like, but I think it's true.
I know it's true, but only because, not because of this podcast or who's on it, but because I know that just the effect that people can have on others that people have had on me. Just a little quick, I'm going to make this as fast as possible, but something that you brought up. My best friend passed away while I was living with him, Ryan. And my two closest friends are Ryan and Dion. Dion is the person who's helped me create my merch for the podcast. And I think dealing with these hard situations, everybody has their own battles, no matter what. It's all relative, you know. It's whatever you've experienced based on what you've experienced before, what you can handle. If you're spiritual, then the best way for saying what I'm trying to say is that I think when you come out of these experiences and the emotions subside and you can see for what it really is, everything happens for a purpose. And there's always this meaning behind it. If you're not spiritual, it's about how you learn from this experience. However this experience has impacted you, how you learn from it, and how do you grow from it. And Ryan changed my life because he was the best person that I've ever met.
Yeah.
The things that he would do to me, the ways that he would be there and show up for me every single day. And for everybody, bro. Everybody, in the most selfless way. And dude went through fucking the shithole, man. He was in prison for years. His parents both died when he was young. Saw his mom got shot and killed. Dad committed suicide when he was 18. Was never in the picture. He went through like everything you could probably imagine that just fucking sucks, dude. Like there's so much more in this story. And bro is just one of the best people that I've ever met. And I know that happens sometimes. And one of my friends, Henry, told me about this phenomenon that he believes that sometimes some people are just put on the earth for this mission. And there's, I don't know if you've heard of like the 27s.
No. Hit me though, explain it.
There's people feel like there's this phenomenon of men or people who just die at the age of 27. And Henry's talking about sometimes there's just these people that die young, and it's because they've served their purpose. They've come here and they've impacted the world in such an insanely significant positive way that if you're spiritual, if you're like Hindu, if you're Christian, they almost skyrocketed themselves to the afterlife faster than anybody else because of the things that they did. And it's a very hard concept, I think, to absorb, but it just really resonates with me with the kind of person he is. And that's the kind of person that I want to be for others, just because his memory is within me and he is within me, and I want his legacy to live on forever. So that's why I talk about him all the time. Sorry if things get a little bit too sappy sometimes, guys. But I appreciate you for saying that, because I feel the exact same way, bro.
Look, man, I wish I could tell you a story like, oh, I've gone through this, I've gone through that in my life, but like, there just isn't anything that I feel like is that terrible. Like, there just isn't. I'm not going to sit here and say I had the best life, the best childhood. I haven't, but man, like, I know some guys that have had such a shit life, like your friend Ryan, right? I mean, he was probably one of the nicest kids ever, but think about this one. In situations like this, where people have had such a shit life, it works both ways. You either become an amazing person off the back of it, or you use all of that shit show that you've gone through as an excuse to become an absolute toe rag. Toe rag is like toe rag is a UK saying for basically a wrong un. That's another UK saying. You can use that one. But essentially, they become this person that's just horrible.
Yeah.
And man, it's we all get a choice, right? We all get a choice which path we want to take. And as much as I've gone through certain things in life, I'm actually grateful for it, because I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. And you probably would not be the person you are today if not going through experience you have with Ryan, like you have for your childhood, right? And man, think of it as an opportunity now. Like, you are in such an amazing position now to become almost anything you wish to be. You're doing well with your podcast. You're doing well with your Instagram socials. You've got a great physique. You just need to stop partying as much, and you're going to be there. That's amazing.
That's crazy. You don't know me, bro.
Bro, I watch your podcast. I do know you, bro. I watch your podcast.
I will say I have toned down like crazy on the substances. If you knew me personally, I think you would be very, very proud.
I can guarantee you, if it was to take this back to 2024, 2025, you wouldn't last with me.
Hello?
Did you
Sorry,
hear me?
your video
Sorry.
you call cut off for a second. Yeah, you
So
said 2024.
I can guarantee you, if it was to take this back to 2014, 2015, you wouldn't last with me. Trust me, bro. Trust me. If one of my friends, Nick, is listening to this, Famersham 2024, we had, I think it was like a 3-day bender. And the way I was to structure it now was this. I would go through my phases, right, with bodybuilding, and I would go through my off season and prep. And each time I would do a health phase where I would come off back then, I would set a date where I would go out and have a party. But because it would only be like twice, 3 times a year, it wouldn't just be a night. It would be literally 2-3 days straight. And because back then as well, I actually worked security for professional. Whenever I went anywhere, I would get role treatment. So there would be no queuing, there would be no searches, and anything that potentially these guys would confiscate, potentially it would end up being down my throat. So it was like no queuing, no searching. You felt very safe inside because you got looked after by the guys that you worked with, but also you had an unlimited supply of drinks for the night. Bearing in mind, I don't drink. So I had unlimited supplies of supplementation for the night. So that was some wild times, but I'm glad I got that out of my system now because I could not think of anything worse right now. I actually feel like, I feel a little bit nervous just thinking about it now, but yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. The thing for me now is just like sleep is so, like I'm so obsessive about my sleep now. So like I didn't even make it to EDC this weekend, which is a fucking shocker, dude.
No,
but
don't do it. You're trying to sleep.
Don't do it.
You're trying to sleep.
Yeah.
What with?
Well, no, I've been trying a lot of different things, man. I've had so many different supplements. I've got, I'll just say it all right here so everybody can know openly because I don't care. Maybe it'll help someone. L-tryptophan, vitamin B5 and B6 to help convert that to serotonin and then melatonin. I have magnesium glycinate. 2 pills is a gram. It's a high amount, but it's good for me. I have phosphatidylserine before bed. Ashwagandha, I try to cycle, but honestly, ashwagandha feels really great. And I always wake up in the middle of the night sometimes. And if I take it, it helps me get back to sleep easier. I think it's because I'm a high stress individual. Sometimes the heart rate goes, sometimes the thoughts go. What else? There's a few more.
What do you use to track your sleep?
I was using what was it called? It's not the most accurate. I was using an Oura ring for a little bit.
91, bro. Let's go.
Nice. Fire.
Go.
Yeah. I have insomnia issues, and for a time the best thing that was helping me was sleep aids, antihistamines, which are obviously anticholinergic. So since I don't want to like get dementia in the future, I supplement with a gram of alpha GPC up to 2 grams of choline a day, and the phosphatidylserine. And the huperzine A is normally in the pre-workouts and shit. But I don't want to be reliant on that. So I actually just talked to my doctor, who I'm homies with. That's the best thing. Like if any of you guys listen to podcasts like bodybuilding shit, you have gained so much valuable information in this field, and you can probably chat it up with some doctors. That's where I know it's been like such a valuable place for me, is like now he and I have been able to, and I'm lucky that I have a friend that's a doctor, but he and I have been able to hone in so much easier on exactly what medications will not work for me and are bad for me, and what medications will work well for me. And now we're trying out trazodone. He thinks I have a little bit of depression. I kind of disagree, but I mean, I feel pretty great right now. And the trazodone to help reduce blood pressure even further. And I think it's a better alternative for me than the antihistamines right now. And it seems to have, in the last 4 days, made my sleep shorter. Like my requirement for sleep is shorter. I wake up more, and it's hard to go back to sleep in the middle of the night than the antihistamines. But during the day, man, I feel fucking like clear, which is weird. Like this is 11:30 p.m. here.
Yep.
And it's probably like what, 7:30 a.m. there at your time.
Yeah.
And like, I would not be able to do this podcast. I literally would not be able to, bro. So I'm pretty surprised.
Okay.
So far, but you know, I'm not trying to jump the gun.
How close to bed do you put your phone away?
About an hour, and then I wear the red glasses like 2 hours prior.
What do you do?
Not today, but
last 2 hours. Tell me what you do.
Bro, look at this shit. Look how sick I fucking look.
Mate, I'm
ready.
I've already got them. They're out optics, baby. It's called Kuba 10.
So fucking sick.
Kuba 10 route optics.
My ex's dad could not stop laughing when he saw me wearing those.
I love them.
What the fuck are you wearing?
They do work. They do work. Mate, with sleep, there's a lot of things that you can do. I think the main one is what you actually do before bed. Like, you probably do all these things already, but I think apigenin is amazing. 200 milligrams before bed.
Yeah.
Helps a ton. Magnesium, depending on which magnesium you use, you need to get focusing on getting the elemental magnesium. So that's the portion of magnesium that actually absorb. If your magnesium tablet, say 1000 milligram, you're probably only getting 100 milligrams of elemental magnesium. And that's probably going to be way too low for you. I would probably look at splitting your magnesium across your entire day with meals. That's what I actually do myself and clients.
I do still have some magnesium during the day as well.
The difference is huge in not just energy levels across the day, but also sleep and your ability to actually get rested through the night. If you've got a sauna in your apartment, you can get a cheap one, like sauna 2-3 hours before bed. But the biggest game changer, we can talk about supplements all day long. We'll talk about what you can take to improve sleep. But man, if you're watching stuff that's going to get you emotionally or like mentally charged up before bed, there's no way you're going to get good sleep. So last 90 minutes of your day, no phone, try to watch something that's actually going to chill you out. And you almost want to be bored before you go to bed.
Yeah.
For the last 30 minutes, if you can switch off any electronics for the last 30, 40 minutes, whilst you're making your last meal, game changer. You will get in bed and you will be lights out cold. But also, if you're waking up to go to the bathroom or anything like that, a little bit of extra salt in your last meal. Make sure you have fruit as well in your last meal. That always helps with you not getting a cortisol spike during your bedtime. And baking soda before bed as well. 1 teaspoon.
Baking soda.
1 teaspoon of baking
soda. What does
soda.
that do?
Trust me, try it. 1 teaspoon of baking soda before bed. You will not be passing water.
And a shot of tequila, baby.
I can't remember the exact mechanism of action for it, but it's something to do with alkalizing your urine, where you essentially won't be going to the bathroom. And listen,
that's perfect for me.
I am 265 pounds right now. Since I've started doing that, Niall, I would literally get up 3-4 times during the night to go to the bathroom, right? Okay. I woke up last night once. That is it. And that's no CPAP, no nothing. So, man, it's a game changer. I promise you. Anyone that ever tells me I'm waking up so many times to use the bathroom, baking soda trick before bed works every single time. I am telling you, try it and then come back to me. Increase your magnesium and do something where you're going to be bored before bed. You don't like reading. Start reading for the last 30 minutes of your bedtime. Look at your last meal. Like a lot of bodybuilders, right? Especially now, like they will do like a carbless meal, no carbs before bed, just protein and veggies. Yeah. It's probably the worst thing you can do for a good quality sleep. Save a little bit of carbs. Save a little bit of carbs.
A little bit, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I do that too.
My last meal in terms of carbohydrates, fruit amount doesn't change no matter how low my calories get in prep. It stays the same all year. And guess what? My sleep stays great all year round. And there's nothing more productive for your progress, whether you're trying to gain muscle or whether you're trying to lose body fat, than having good quality sleep. You cannot beat it.
Yeah, I agree. I realize a lot of these things about my parents, actually. Like now that I'm like too old, they just never told me it. My dad has insomnia. I would catch him like just awake at night. My mom saw her prescription for what is it called? For hypothyroidism, which I was always wondering why the hell I had hypothyroidism. I was like, well, is it just my diet? Like even when I eat more? But I'm going to implement that, because everything I've implemented have been small little steps to get it better and better and better. And the baking soda thing, urine is one of my problems. I drink a fuck ton of water during the day. And I feel like it'll solve it. I feel like I drink like 6 of these during the day.
last 2 hours of your day, just try and limit water intake as well. Try to just scale it back a little bit. Well, like,
That's always hard for me.
I know, but listen,
I start feeling dehydrated in my mouth and shit.
save a little bit and just keep having little sips. Because what
Okay.
you'll notice, and that's actually something I learned from Dr. Scott Stevenson. You know, when guys cut water in like few days before the show, I don't think you should ever cut water. But anyway, if you cut water, if you ever have cut water, have you ever noticed, even taking a small little sip, it will almost give you like a bit of a signal where you need to go and pass water. So most of the time, the guys that stop drinking will hold water. The second you start to sip a little bit of water, you start to pass again.
Yeah.
If you continue to drink, like especially large amounts of fluid before bed, like you will pass more water. But just scale it back, add the baking soda, a little bit more salt in your last meal, and I promise you it'll get better. It probably won't be completely solved where you don't get up at all, but you'll probably, like over 3-4 nights of doing that, you'll probably go from maybe waking up 3-4 times to probably waking up once or twice. And that's going to be already a massive win for your sleep quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, bro. Hell yeah. This brings me to something I wanted to say in the fucking beginning that I totally forgot because we went on some crazy tangent, but I had this urge for some reason that like, I hope something comes up where I get to like debate you because literally so far I've heard you talk about so many things online and so far everything I've agreed with, which is a problem.
So I'm always happy to debate anything you need. Go on.
Hopefully we come up with some things today that we can debate a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But before we jump onto that, you were talking about your hardest preps earlier. What is your hardest prep you've ever gone through, and then what was your best prep you've ever gone through, and why were they different? What made it?
Let's go with the best preps.
Different.
The best preps that I've ever gone through are probably last 2-3 years where it doesn't really feel like prep, because for me, off-season prep doesn't change now. My daily routine is the same. I go to bed, wake up at the same time every day. I eat all of my meals at the same time every day. My routine is like clockwork. And that's not just because I want to be a great bodybuilder. My routine has to be like clockwork with my responsibilities as a coach and my responsibilities in business, right? If my routine isn't on point, I won't be able to get done everything that I need to do. So last 3 years, I mean, preps are becoming less hard. And the hardest thing about prep for me now is not doing more than necessary, because I want to do more. I want to eat less, but I don't have to. When you are already used to suffering so much in preps, but you get to a certain point where you start your prep relatively lean, you start your prep healthy, you start your prep with your food already high. Fat loss is actually extremely easy. That's the battle I have now. Like, I'm 3 weeks into prep now. Like, the prep is flying, and I'm eating just under 5,000 calories on training day and 3,700 calories on rest day. And it's a breeze. I'm losing body fat with no fat burners. Drugs are low. It's easy. So the easiest preps have been last 2 years where it doesn't really feel like I'm in prep, because I put myself in that position. Anyone can almost do that in a similar way if they really put more emphasis onto the off season. Don't get fat. Don't get unhealthy. Make sure that you start pointing for prep, you're already starting lean. So I think that covers the easy preps, right? And why.
Yeah.
Any questions for the easy preps?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. Hard preps. Less muscle you have, harder you'll have to dig to get in condition. If you have a poor sleep pattern, poor routine, your sleep quality is shit, you are going to have to dig extremely hard to get in shape. 2014, I will find the pictures and I'll send them over to you. It was a 16-week prep. I started fat and unhealthy because at the time I was PTing during the daytime. So I was coaching, I was PTing during the day, and I worked as security in a nightclub 5 days per week. So my routine was all over the show. My sleep was terrible. Yeah. I wouldn't be in bed till like 3-4 a.m. I would be waking up again at 8 a.m. to go and PT. So my sleep was very, very erratic. The quality was terrible because half the week I would stay at home. Half the week I would stay in like student accommodations with like a single bed. You try sleeping in a single bed as a bodybuilder and a female, it's probably not going to be the best. Let's face it. Back then as well, the nutrition was pretty poor. I would get pretty fat in the off season because the culture of bodybuilding back then was very simple. In the off season, eat as much as you can, try and grow. And we both know you cannot eat muscle on. Like the more you try to eat muscle on, you will just get fat and build less muscle. In that prep, I started at 16 weeks out and I needed to drop probably 55 pounds to get in shape.
That's a lot.
6 cod meals per day, 1 salmon meal per day. So I would have salmon and green beans.
That's fucking
right. I would have salmon and green beans for meal 1. The cardio that I would do was like the same consistent route near my mum's house where I would leave the house and it would take me exactly 56 minutes to do the cardio, the route of walking around. And then for the last 3 minutes, for the last like 6 weeks, I would go hypo every single time. I would be sitting at the dinner table, eating the salmon and green beans. And I can remember this clear as day, how nice those green beans tasted with a little bit of salt. My God, the salmon and green beans, it was literally like a Michelin star meal every morning. Then majority of that prep, I literally had cod and green beans with a little bit of potato pre-workout and then no carbs post-workout. Just straight fish. Fish.
Why?
Pardon? Because I was so fat, I need to drop so much weight to get in shape.
Damn, but no carbs post-workout.
No carbs post-workout. So that was my diet for the last 6 weeks.
Why was the choice post-workout though? Like why wasn't it a different meal that you, or were you just doing no carbs and all these other meals?
So I was doing no carbs at all and just doing potato pre-workout for a little bit of energy.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
And then rest was just fish and green beans. 2 hours of cardio every single day. Bearing in mind, I was PTing during the day and I was working doors at night. Getting through that prep was by far the hardest thing I've ever had to endure. I remember sitting on a bench in a gym called Exercise for Less before work training. And it probably took me 3 minutes just to sit up and do a set. Like getting my energy to just sit up was like dreadful, but I made it. And to be honest, that prep has made every bodybuilding experience an absolute breeze ever since. Because no matter how tired I am right now, no matter how hungry I am right now, it will never ever come close to that experience. And I think if anyone can go through a hard prep, get through it the way I did, that's always going to be a telltale sign whether you genuinely want to bodybuild or not. Because looking back then, it definitely showed me that I genuinely want to do this for the right reasons because I enjoy it. Because if anyone did this for any external gratification and they had to do that, I don't think they would complete the prep. But I think this is where a lot of people get to the end of the contest prep and they say, bodybuilding made me feel this way, or bodybuilding is this or that. It's not bodybuilding, dude. It's just that you probably don't really want to do this for the right reasons. Because as human beings, right, we can endure far more than we can ever fathom. The level of pain that we may feel, we can endure so much more. The level of hunger that we may feel, don't worry, you can endure so much more. And realistically, now, no matter how hungry we get in prep, we still eat 6 meals a day. You don't go any longer than 2.5 hours without eating across your day. You're not really that hungry. You're going to be fine. You're going to have a meal. And man, that was such a great experience for me because it's almost like every prep thereafter that, even though my next year's prep was
so much easier, dude.
It's just easy. Like no matter what, no matter how low calories have to go, no matter what I have to do, it's just a breeze. So as you can imagine now going into a contest prep, the hardest thing for me is not doing more steps than I need to, not eating less than I need to, because it's such a mind fuck doing the preps like this where it just feels effortless. But that's how it's supposed to feel when you are on top of your shit. If you do commit and you do set up your off season well and set up your prep well, that's how it's supposed to be. Like, Niall, I could literally take 40 grams of carbs away from a meal now, and I'm telling you, I would be 2-3 pounds down extra over the next 2-3 days. That's how responsive the body can be if you are dialed in. And if you do tick all the boxes the way you need to. But listen, that's not the approach that everyone can take. I can take it because I fucking love this shit. I'm obsessed with it. And that's fine. Like that works for me. For other people, that approach may need to vary a little bit. And man, even back then, like I still have notes from that prep. It was like 50 micrograms of T3, 150 micrograms of T4, and then all of the cardio. I think Cielen went up to like 160 to get the job done. It was crazy. And it's like, even now, the max Cielen I'll use myself and most guys and girls is like 60, 80 at max, which is nuts. So, man, looking back at that prep is like, I almost feel extra proud that I did it because getting through that, man, was pretty much hell.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why I always tell a lot of people that if you have like a client, for example, who's starting off, dude, like just set aside the fact that registered diet could probably exacerbate issues during peak week, including, I mean, we could talk about this. I've heard you talk about this before as well, but just have someone like know how to prep normally, you know?
Yeah.
Just go through the experience normally. And if you can, honestly, I think if you're a natural and you're considering jumping on gear and you're considering going to a comp, doing a comp, I do recommend doing the show first, doing a competition natural first, and then trying it with the gear later.
Let me tell you about a story as well there. I did my first show at 16 years old. 16. I did my first comp prep. And to this day now, I cannot eat sweet potato because the diet for 16 weeks straight was turkey, sweet potato, and pineapple. That is it. That was the only foods that I ate for 16 weeks. And that was at 16 years old.
Ugh.
So, as you can imagine, that prep was also a tough one. It wasn't as tough as 2014 because from what I can remember, I didn't need to push as hard to get in shape because I already wasn't really too far out of shape.
Yeah.
But even looking at that experience back then, if you use retatrutide for your first prep, how do you even know if you like bodybuilding? Because if you're not willing to go through that hard prep, you don't really know if you want to really do this. Because experiencing the fatigue, experiencing the hunger, experiencing the sleepless nights, experiencing the suffering, which it really isn't suffering, but to some people's eyes it is, experiencing the suffering in brackets, which it's not fucking suffering, let's face it, is all part of the process. If you remove all of that, you remove the true beauty of bodybuilding. Now, look, this is me not saying that retatrutide doesn't have its place. It does, but I think you need to earn the right to use it. Go through the contest preps first. Learn how to diet without it, because if you don't know how to really deal with hunger without it, man, it's like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
At the same time, Niall, I do understand that genetically, different people have different appetites and different drive to eat. Some people just have an enormous drive to eat. I am one of them. Like, I am always hungry. Like, but I enjoy that. I don't like being full. And to be honest now, I can't remember last time I was full. Like, my peak calories this off-season was like 5,600. And I was still pretty hungry after my meals. But is that true hunger or drive to eat? Because both are not the same thing. And if you're self-aware enough, you will understand that you're actually satiated from that meal. It's just that your drive to eat is higher. Therefore, you want to continue to eat more because it might make you feel a certain way, or you simply get more pleasure from eating than others. And this is where this game changes person to person, because some people don't get no pleasure from eating. Others, however, it's almost like every positive life experience they had in life always revolved around food. When you have that instilled in your brain, it's much harder then to control your eating habits. It's much harder to be able to eat a meal and feel somewhat satisfied without being full to the brim. If someone has spent their entire childhood eating meals and being full to the brim, that's what they're going to be automatically instilled to feel like and need to feel like after a meal. I never had that as a child. I was always portioned out the food. Even when I lived with my grandparents, like they would literally bake cakes and they would lock them away because there was a lot of children, a lot of cousins, right? And if they didn't lock the cakes away, all the kids would eat it. Of course they would. However, from a very early age, we already understood that this is not something you just eat every day. It's more sort of a reward at the end of the week where you get a slice of cake if you behaved well enough or if you did your chores. So there's so many things that you can unpack around psychology of eating, around psychology of hunger. But also a question I always ask clients is this. The question I always ask you, at your peak of hunger, if I was to put a plain ball of broccoli in front of you, would you eat it or not? If the answer is no, you are not hungry, my friend. You are just craving. You're either craving more food or you're craving a satisfaction or you're craving a dopamine hit from the food. This is why a lot of people tend to spend a lot more time on social media, scrolling Instagram or shopping, etc. during contest prep because they don't get the same dopamine hit from the food. So they're trying to get it elsewhere. And I think this is where retatrutide comes in place because it takes away almost that reward system from food. So people build better habits at times and people even have less addictive tendencies because of that mechanism of action where it almost changes psychology around your reward system. It's not to do with the hunger being less. It's just more so the reward system changes a little bit. I know that's a little bit of a tangent, right? But I think a lot of it is very, very valid when it comes to the process as a whole. And another thing that most people really forget and fail to see is your hunger is also great feedback in prep. If I am prepping you now and you wake up, tell me one day, mate, I don't really feel good. I don't have no appetite. You know, I feel a bit off. If you're taking retatrutide, you're like this all the time. However, if you genuinely wake up one day and you give me that sort of feedback, you're already super fatigued. You need to back off. You're not doing cardio that day. You're not doing steps that day. You're not training that day. And you are eating more food that day because that is what you need at that time. If you have something like Reta in place or tirzepatide or semaglutide, you do not have the ability to give me that feedback that I need in prep. So context is the key. Do I think it's useful? Yes, it can be. However, if you are going to take it, I'm not a fan of using it to completely shut your appetite off. You should use it for potential metabolic benefits it may carry without completely taking away appetite, because your appetite and feedback on hunger is all a part of a bigger picture of broad spectrum of feedback that you need to be given as a proper athlete. Man, that was a bit of a tangent, but I hope that covers it all top to bottom.
Yeah, plus it's also pretty correlated with gut motility as well, so which is kind of important in prep.
What I've noticed, especially some of the guys that actually came to me using high doses, is like the gut motility is terrible. Like you can almost see lower abdomen, and you know what? I can actually see it in some pros that are using it that I know are using it that are not really vocal about it. You can see it in like a lower abdomen where lower abdomen creates like a pouch and protrusion. You can always see that. And look, is it effective? Yes. Can it be used? Yes. But I think people are just abusing it. It's just like any other drug, right? People used to think that Trembolone was amazing. Let me tell you, I've took 1,000 milligram of fucking Trembolone back in the day. Did it do me any good? No. I just felt sick. I felt inflamed. And when I took that, I looked terrible. I looked poorly. And
Can you explain what the look looked like?
Right. What was the last show we went to? Was it Arnold's?
I think Arnold, was the last show I went.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you see bodybuilders up close and you look at the skin, the only way I can describe it is the skin looks like leather. It doesn't look, when you look at Samson, his skin's clear. His skin's almost glowing. It looks like he's taking fucking Cloblend. He looks younger in person as well. That's when you know someone isn't really pushing the compounds and isn't pushing Trembolone. the guys that always take Trembolone at higher doses, you can see the skin texture, the face. It's a very, very different look where high doses of androgen will always give someone like it's almost like a swollen face, but also the skin texture. You see what I mean? Right?
Especially the orals, high doses of orals especially.
It's really, really swollen face, but also the skin texture is like leather. The only way I can describe it is like if someone has been going on sunbed for like 15 minutes every day for 2 weeks straight, it's like a leathery texture look to the skin. And it's almost like, it's not exactly purple, but the only way I can describe it is like, it's almost like a purpley look. That's not just the blood pressure being sky high. Trust me, guys. Now we're getting juicy. Proper transparent podcast. Proper transparent podcast, baby.
Honestly, we could list out a long list of all the peptides that have helped us. You guys have heard these peptides and these research chems in the podcast maybe a million times. Peptides I've used from APR such as BPC 157 and TP500 for soft tissue healing, retatrutide and other GLPs, mitochondrial support such as SS31, MOTC, 5-amino-1Q, methylene blue, SLU. There's a bunch of others. Obviously, the list goes on and on. One of my favorite things, though, that I've been utilizing, such as during my last prep, that has allowed my blood work to come basically pristine, aside from slightly elevated liver enzymes at about 60 and 130 1 week after the show. And this is after a leg day because my dumbass doesn't want to skip a training day. These are probably the things that I think are the most important. So this includes like your injectable glutathione, injectable or even just normal NAC, liposoluble glutathione, GI aids such as oral BPC, oral TB, KPV. A lot of these things have probably been very substantial in reducing oxidative stress and keeping all my blood markers down, and thus keeping me as basically healthy as fucking possible that you can be while you're bodybuilding. So I couldn't be more thankful to Mike for literally showing me the ropes and also providing me with all of these things. Even the compounded supplements that he creates for blood pressure and reducing oxidative stress on all your organs, including your cardiovascular system, your liver, and your kidneys. All of these that he creates have been very substantial, honestly. So you can find any of these at his site, aprhealthsolutions.com, and he has offered me a code Nile for you guys to use, which will offer you a 15% discount off of all of that as well. If you guys end up using those and you like him, please let me know. Shoot in a comment, just give me a DM or something, and if you ever have any problems or any questions, I'll be here too. This is a community for me, even though I don't have a fucking Discord because I'm lazy as shit, but I fucking should make one. So love you guys, and keep training hard. What other compounds at higher dosages do you see causing common issues with competitors, especially ones that you might want to avoid?
High dose EQ, high dose Tren, high dose Nandrolone.
Okay. Why those three?
Right. When you look at compound selection, and this is the biggest issue when it comes to people in general and athletes, people look at drugs and they often look at how effective a drug is, or they measure how effective a drug is by its side effects, not actual effect. Every single compound is going to drive some anabolism.
Right.
The compounds that I think pack the biggest punch, like Nandrolone, like EQ, like Trembolone, I don't necessarily think that they build the most muscle. It's just that generally, especially with Nandrolone, it will allow you to move more load because you will retain more water. You're not actually building more muscle tissue. You are just changing your leverage. But generally, the compounds that you can feel the most come at the highest cost. Nandrolone, we all know that it is more neurotoxic. It does have more deleterious effects on heart health. EQ, we all know it drives blood pressure, high hematocrit, and generally, from experience, myself and with clients, and I am using EQ with some clients, they are getting incredible results, but it's never really above anything of 500 to 600 milligrams at the highest, mostly sitting in ranges of 200 to 300 milligrams. That's enough.
Would you say that's mostly because of their level of aromatization at whatever test they're taking?
For the EQ?
Yeah.
Yes and no. The main reason why I don't like to run it high is because most people only measure E2 in blood work. They don't measure E1. EQ will raise your E1 and lower E2. So a lot of people say EQ is an aromatase inhibitor. Like, well, It can be, yes, but not in the way that you think it is, because on
Mhm.
paper, your blood work may actually show low E2 numbers, but in practice, they're probably not that low, and your E1 is elevated. So what you'll notice, a lot of people that do take EQ, they will look superb for the first stint of using it. And then after a longer period of time, some people almost like get a weird watery look off the back of it. This is why I'm not a fan. And realistically, EQ is, I would say a poor man's version of testosterone. What does it do better than testosterone? Not much. Yes, it does work slightly differently. Yes, each compound has slight different unique properties that may be of benefit, but in an ideal world, you want to take a compound selection that doesn't feel like you are on cycle. If you feel like you are taking a certain performance enhancing drug, you're not actually feeling the effect of the drug. You're feeling a side effect of the drug. Unless you are taking orals. That's a different story, because orals will work acutely. So there's a big
Mhm.
difference. If those three compounds that I feel like are overused or shouldn't be used or are not intelligently used, is definitely Nandrolone, EQ, and Trenbolone. They all can have an amazing effect. They all can be used, but I think key is how you use them, what dosages, length, and duration of time. I think that's the biggest one, especially with Trenbolone, right? People think more is better, but like I haven't used more than 150, 200 milligrams of Trenbolone at max. And to be honest, I don't think any more than 100 milligrams is ever needed now in the
Yeah.
last 3 years. And listen, I have taken 350 Tren. I have taken 700 Tren. I have taken 1,000 mg of Tren. And I promise you, it doesn't do anything magic. You just feel sick. You cannot sleep. Your recovery's shocking. Your breathing's shocking. So it's not worth using. From me.
I agree with the 100 milligrams. And there's a lot of people that agree with that too, right? I think
Yep.
John might be one of those, Jewett. I think who else is, Vigorous Steve was talking about that recently, in like the last 6 months. But I do want to do the devil's advocate and put a caveat that there are some people, the very small percentage of people, that for some reason can just handle Trent so fucking well. And it just makes no sense, bro. Like they like almost get better sleep and like they are like happier and more mentally healthy. And it just doesn't make any fucking sense. I feel like that's the small population where I'm like, all right, I can reason like taking higher dosages and for longer periods of time, but that's it. And I feel like that's like 1%.
Yeah, I
Maybe
do.
maybe more. It depends.
And this is the beauty of bodybuilding, right? Like, I have some clients that I do things with and other clients. And do you know what? Funny enough, they'll message each other sometimes. We're like, why are you doing this? And I'm doing that. And it's completely different. It's because this works for you and this works for him.
Yeah,
Like,
you guys should be happy that it's different and not cookie cutter.
yeah. And look, everyone likes to say, like, everyone's got like a different specific setup for each client. But realistically, initially, when they sign up a client, they probably don't. What changes is as you start to work with a client over time, you understand what works better for them and what doesn't. That is when the plan pivots and changes dramatically person to person when it comes to training volume, drugs, compound selection, and different ratios of the drugs as well. But I completely agree. Like, I have some guys that can tolerate and do so well with EQ, and I personally hate it. I think it's a complete terrible drug. However, if I have a client that doesn't have great kidney values, doesn't have great blood pressure, and they consider using EQ, I will outright tell them, like, if you want to use EQ, sure, do it, but this may be your last off season you ever do, because your kidneys may not recover from it
Mm.
because of the impact it will have on your blood pressure that's already not the best when you are only
Mhm.
using test, mast, and primo. So what I find bizarre is a lot of coaches have like specific set drug protocols per person, right? It's
Mhm.
like, you know it. Like, I could see a plan and I'll know which coach it is based off the diet and how to structure the diet. And it's like, that's all good and well, but does that plan change after you see the response of the client? Because I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, but there has to be some auto regulation in place based off what you see with the effect and the side effect of the drug per person basis. If someone can take a boatload of Tren, they don't have any blood pressure issues, the kidney values are completely fine. Yeah, let them take it. But what you cannot measure is oxidative stress that will come up inevitably when you use Tren. But what you cannot measure as well is the toxicity on the brain. You cannot measure that.
Yeah.
You can do echocardiograms, you can do all different scans, and listen, I do them and I post my results online. I post my blood work. I post my echocardiogram results, and you can see how much my health has improved. So a lot of people
Mhm.
comment saying bodybuilding does this. Well, let me tell you, in the last 3 years, my echocardiogram has shown substantial improvement in my heart health. My blood work is fucking impeccable. So what I am doing clearly is working, and I'm not really fucking around with small doses. I am still taking a decent amount of drugs. But fact of the matter is, Niall, my blood pressure is never out of range. My cholesterol is never out of range. My ApoB values are always perfect. You can do this. You can potentially push the anabolics if you are taking care of your health, if you are staying healthy, if you are staying fit, and most importantly, if you're not stuffing your face full of shit and getting fat. I think that does the biggest damage for athletes is poor nutrition on a weekly basis, uncontrolled off-plan eating, and then they wonder why the blood work's skewed. They wonder why they have plaque buildup. They wonder how they have high cholesterol. Like all of this can be mitigated with better lifestyle and being a better athlete, because bodybuilding is a sport. I don't care what anyone says. The better athlete you are, better your health, better your growth, better your progress, and better the outcome on stage. And most importantly, better the outcome when you come out the other side. And listen, you can take these compounds. I don't think the compounds are to blame. If they was, Milos Sarcev should be fucking dead. Because let's face it, this man experimented. This man did not mess around with compounds. But look at Milos's diet. Do you ever hear Milos talking about eating a pizza? No. Let me tell you, man, that man never got fat. That man probably never, ever ate any shit during his career.
Yeah.
You're poison, my friends. If you are going to be a bodybuilder, you may need to consider what you consume. And that isn't just what you eat, but what you consume, social media, what you consume your brain, what you allow to see. Man, it plays such a massive, massive difference. Not just your health in general, but your mindset. It all works, man.
Yeah, man. You just you led me down a deeper road than I meant to think about. I started thinking about like two specific
first. Let's wrap up the drugs first.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Then we can go down any road you want.
I got two questions for you.
Right,
first
before you ask me the questions, is there anything that I've said in there that you disagree with or you wanna challenge? Because if there is, I just want you to say it outright.
About health and about nutrition and that being a main factor in your longevity, not just in the sport but in life. I completely agree with that wholeheartedly. I do believe in some situations there's a few genetic variant individuals that have it fucking terribly. And I think in those situations there have to be a lot more pharmaceutical interventions and supplemental interventions. And that's something I want to talk about. That's the first question is like, imagine, so say that there's one person, like you've got a client that he genetically from, obviously this genetically, I was about to say genetically from his parents. It's fucking retarded.
Yeah.
He has high blood pressure.
Yep.
Compared to average. And he has, let's just say for most of his markers, he tends to run on the bad side, even if he has everything checked. Like his nutrition is in check, his cardio is in check, his sleep is in check, and he doesn't do recreational drugs or drink alcohol.
Yeah, and his blood pressure is still high.
And his blood pressure is still a little high.
Okay.
So what are all the if I know it's going to be hard to like try to think of everything that you have used in the past, but out of what you can think of right now, what are all the pharmaceutical and supplemental interventions that someone can do to try to maximize the health of their blood work and their organs?
Okay. Let's go with drugs first. First, I would stay away from Trembolone, stay away from Nandrolone, stay away from EQ. I would opt for, and this is going to be very much the UK way, apparently. In this instance, if someone is struggling with high blood pressure, they are probably just going to have to stick to test, MAST, and Primo. Test and DHTs, unfortunately. And I would probably consider using a moderate amount of testosterone, as much testosterone as they can take, without blood pressure becoming a problem or more of a problem than it already is. So first thing I will address is stack cycle design. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
Second thing I will address is the rate of gain at which he is going to allow himself to go through an off season. He will probably need to gain much slower and in a much more controlled fashion to keep his blood pressure in range. But that's also beneficial because I do believe staying a little bit leaner, especially when you do get to a certain level, a certain size of musculature, you gain more muscle, you stay more responsive, but also staying leaner allows you to have a much easier prep. So
I agree with this.
I think that's drugs first,
Yeah.
and also the approach. So the approach.
That's why I like Chris Tuttle's. I like a lot of the new approaches, like a lot of the more modern age approaches from some of the newer coaches than the old school approach of like fucking eating like a fucking elephant, dude, and just getting big really fucking fast. Like Chris Tuttle, for example. I really enjoy Chris's approach. It's what I've been trying right now. Yeah,
he's
getting 22 pounds, still got a little bit of striations in the left glute. So
yeah, so the way I structure off season is like a 30-week long off season, and over that 30 weeks, in an ideal world, you gain 35 pounds max. But over that 35-pound period, by the end of the off season, your glutes still should be boxed off. I don't think there should ever be an instance as a bodybuilder where you have lower back fat hanging over your pants. If you do, you are too fat, because at that point, you probably have 40, 50 pounds to lose to get in true conscious condition. Like, that doesn't really serve a merit.
So you're not a fan of the Lee Priest bulk?
Yeah, but listen, Lee could get away with that.
Yeah.
Lee's genetics were superb, so Lee could definitely get away with that. Now, as far as supplementation goes, first, I would review electrolytes. I think that's very, very underrated. A lot of bodybuilders struggle with blood pressure, yet they are adding 2 grams of salt on every single meal, not considering that in off-season, as your food increases, naturally your salt intake indirectly will be higher from cream of rice, all the additions of food that you're adding, especially some guys. I mean, they're probably adding 2 grams of salt per meal, plus electrolytes on top. Sodium amount is crazy high with very little potassium. So I know that electrolytes are very much in right now. People are trying to overcomplicate it. It's super simple. 1-to-1 ratio, sodium, potassium, and that could be literally just a little bit of low salt with some normal pink Himalayan salt, but not in excess. Review your diet, but review your diet in a fashion where your electrolytes are not taking the piss and you're not overdoing the salt intake. That's something that I've actually caught a lot of clients with, and I had some guys that blood pressure were trending crazy high, and I was like, right, let's review your electrolytes, and boom, straight away blood pressure's come right down and they feel way better, but also they're sleeping way better. Now they're not consuming an excessive amount of salt. As far as supplementation goes, astragalus, NAC, IP6, TUDCA, then I think for cholesterol, I think citrus bergamot.
What is IP6?
IP6 is actually in a product that Tren by JP does. It will lower iron absorption, I believe. So you may need to take extra iron when you do take IP6. It will lower your hematocrit, essentially. It's very, very good, very effective. And that's actually in vital support by Tren by JP. And I think 1,000 milligram is about what you should be taking.
Cool.
Citrus bergamot, ubiquinol. And again, if you want any Tren by JP subs, code Kuba 10, you know the drill. Citrus bergamot, ubiquinol, which Love Heart contains from Tren by JP. Now, another one that I absolutely love that JP also has, which contains red yeast extract and natokinase, astaxanthin, which is amazing for your heart health, is heart care. But a consideration to make is this. If you do take heart care, and it does have red yeast extract and natokinase, etc., your CK levels will always show up higher on blood work from that. So be mindful of that. Now, magnesium, I recommend, and that's off the back of Dr. Dean's. I'm not going to say that this is my recommendation specifically. This is from what Dr. Dean taught me. 10 milligram of elemental magnesium per kilogram of body weight spread across the day. That has been a game changer for me, for my sleep and general recovery. And then omega, a good high quality omega at 10 grams per day. Like all of these supplements I've listed right now, if you are taking gear, even at TRT, you should be taking every single day, morning and night. If you are not taking them, you are missing out, in my opinion. I am pretty sure you'll be with me on that one.
Something to debate. Dave Palumbo says that a lot of bodybuilders are taking too much fish oil, and it's skewing some of the ratios. So they need to focus on getting more macadamia nut oil, because they're They're kind of
Okay,
overdoing
Dave.
it on the omega 3s.
Let,
Or
let
wait,
me
no,
sh-
or is it? Yeah, I think so.
let me show you my lipid panel after 29 weeks on gear, and let's debate it then, Dave, because my lipid panel after 29 weeks on cycle doesn't look like I've been on cycle. The same applies for all of the guys that use that protocol that I've just mentioned, alongside of not getting fat, alongside of keeping activity levels in check. Now, as far as pharmaceutical information go, I think
Wait, hold on. Before you go on, there was one. Oh, fuck. I fucking lost it. You move fast, brother, and it's good. Fuck. All right, whatever. Never mind. Just go ahead.
Take your time.
It'll probably come back to my mind.
If it comes back to you, just interrupt me straight away and just tell me, okay?
Okay, I will. But I did 9 grams of fish oil the last year, 2 years. Blood work always comes back perfect. HDL and LDL were in range and in a good ratio. But I also have ezetimibe in there, and that helps a little bit.
Well, that's one of the pharmaceutical manager thing that works really well. I agree. I don't use it myself because I don't need it. Telmisartan, however, I think telmisartan should be a staple for most people. A lot of people use telmisartan for blood pressure. I personally don't think it does a great job of managing blood pressure. For blood pressure alone, I think something like nebivolol is better, or combining a low dose of telmisartan and a low dose of nebivolol, I think is extremely, extremely effective when it comes to managing blood pressure. SLG2 inhibitors called Jardiance. I'm pretty sure you've probably heard Vigorous Steve talk about this. However, that's something I actually learned from Michael Kuhn. He is a PhD from Germany, and it's something that I have been using, and it's called empagliflozin. It's an SLG2 inhibitor. If you look into it, the research around it is incredible, especially for heart health. The main reason why I am a massive fan of it is it will lower your blood pressure, but also it's almost like a tool in your back pocket for heart health. And when you look at the data and research on it, it's more so prevention from cardiac disease and cardiac events that's so interesting around it. So for me, if you are pushing the boundaries and you are an open pro bodybuilder, what you should probably consider, if you need it, telmisartan and empagliflozin as the main ones. And then if you need anything extra to manage blood pressure or lipids, I would definitely consider nebivolol at low doses. Works very, very, very well. It's very, very effective. And Nustendi, I'm not sure if you heard of it, but Nustendi actually has ezetimibe in it. And also, so Nustendi is a mixture of ezetimibe and another compound that lowers cholesterol and reduces risk of cardiovascular events. And also Repatha. If someone really is struggling with blood pressure a lot, there is an injection called Repatha, and that's something I've learned from Michael as well. And that works dramatically well on improving ApoB and any cholesterol issues that you may have. It will definitely be extremely effective for, especially guys that really do struggle with it. I think that's something they could potentially look into, and that's called Repatha in terms of like the name of the branding name.
Yeah.
It's called Evolocumab. I never know how to say these things, but it's anyway, Repatha, look into it. And listen, guys, my name isn't Vigorous Steve. My name isn't Dr. Scott Stevenson. My name isn't Dr. Dean. A lot of the things that I'm talking about is through having consultations with people like Michael, that is a PhD, with people like Dr. Dean. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm not going to sit here and be like like Vigorous Steve and tell you all of the mechanisms of actions of all these compounds. I know enough to understand what they do, and I know enough to understand why they are beneficial, but I'm not going to give you all the literature behind it. I could, if I look at my notes from the consultations that I've had, but that's not my gig. I'm not an educator. I'm a fucking bodybuilder that loves eating, training, taking gear, and doing a bit of coaching as well. So,
but I do feel like you're a bit of an expert on those training, bro. I love hearing you talk about training, because I do think a lot of bodybuilders overdo it, me included.
Listen, that's what I'm the most passionate about. I fucking love training. I love bodybuilding. And one thing I've noticed in life as well now is this. Like, I never had any other interests. in my life ever. Boxing was my first passion, but even when I boxed, lifting weights was even more of a passion.
Mm.
And when it came to school, when it came to learning anything, I always struggled. I always struggled to stay focused. When it comes to bodybuilding, that's the only thing that I can solely focus on and learn like this. So if there's anything that I know about myself now is like, if I'm truly passionate about something, I almost become obsessed, and that's okay. And man, I had Samson and his wife over at a seminar. I think it was on the 4th of, what was it? 3rd of May, 2nd of May, actually. And when the audience sat down or the clients sat down, I actually said to them, like, look, do not be afraid to be all in on something. If you're truly passionate about something, it's okay to just be content with that. If that's what makes you happy, like, be okay to be all in with it. That's what I said before Malenka actually came. When she came over, the first thing she said at the start of the speech was exactly what I said, word for word. I was like, yes, thank you for saying this, because a lot of people these days, they preach balance, right? They preach, you know, you need to have other interests. You need to do this. You need to do that. Niall, I competed at 16 years old. I'm almost 32 now. I am more obsessed with bodybuilding now than I ever have been. It's what makes me happy. Why should I look for other interests when this is what makes me happy? Like, this is my passion. And the best thing about bodybuilding, right? There's so many different facets of bodybuilding. There's training, there's nutrition, there's drugs. There's so many different avenues that you can dig into, even psychology of athletes, psychology of bodybuilding. There's so many different things that you can learn and dig into. It's almost like infinite when you look at the different facets of bodybuilding that you can improve upon, right? So why should I look for other interests and force doing something I'm not that interested in? Why would I do that? Does it make sense, does it? And another thing to consider, right, is like, there's only so long I'll be able to do this for. There's only so long I'll be able to do the drugs, do the training at the level that I do now. Like, I will always train forever, but there's only so long I'll be able to do this for right now. So if I can do this now, I'm going to be all in. And that's exactly what she said. And when she was saying it, I was like, man, thank you so much. That was a good one.
Fuck yes. Okay, before we go to training, the second question. You said that now you do moderate dosages and you still have good blood. I want to know around what these moderate dosages are for you. I know this is going to change sometimes drastically per person, but I think it gives a good anecdote for people to have.
Okay, I can send you
doing what you're doing. What are you able to handle?
I can send you my blood work on 2,900 milligram total.
Okay. Wow.
That's not moderate doses, that's high dose. But, Niall, right, let's just break this down. A lot of coaches will talk about injectables, saying, oh, I only have my clients run this. But then they forget to talk about the orals. When you add in the total milligrams that they actually speak about, it's probably around that 3,000 milligrams mark when you add it all up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In the off season, I will work up to potentially 2,500 milligram, maybe a little bit more, but not at the start of my off season. I will start my off season at maybe 1,000 milligram. Then I will build up over time. So my off season was 29 weeks long. I can give you a full breakdown. 29 weeks long, and during that time,
before you start, I just want to say that I'm glad that you said that, because I wanted to try something new this time, and I started at 350 tests, 300 primo. Now I'm at 600 tests, 500 primo, and I have been growing progressively the entire time.
You need more when you need more, and that's the best way to go. And I think if you can start low and titrate up, it's almost like progressive with training, progressive overload, right? You don't start your Smith machine at week 1 and go straight to 3 plates. You start at 2 plates and you build up to 3 plates. The same applies with drugs. Mm-hmm. And having that mentality of not getting too greedy too early allows me to not only stay on cycle for longer, but keep that blood work, stay fresher, and build more muscle.
Yeah.
True.
Even if it's a little bit slower in the beginning.
Yeah. And one thing to know, building true contractile muscle tissue takes time. You cannot build muscle fast. If you do, it's most certainly mostly water. This is what you see with guys that rebound very often. Like they will blow up very, very quickly, and then they diet and they lose all the gains that they think they've made because it's not true contractile tissue unless you are a certain individual that works for you, then fair enough, because we all know that some guys that do well with rebounds, but 99% of people build less muscle during a rebound. If you're a mere mortal like me and Niall, you will probably need a longer off season, taking your time, building things up slowly. So for me, I can show you my blood work. It's pristine, running up to 2,900 milligrams. How? I don't eat shite. My diet's impeccable year round. I stay very active. I don't get fat. All of these things contribute. And I'm super on point with my supplementation as well. And I see this with a lot of clients that I work with. They are very much the same. It's like, it can be done. You just have to be extremely patient and you have to have enough self-control to be able to do that. Because, man, trust me, do you know when you see progress? The hardest thing to do is stay locked into your plan and not take more than you need to, not eat more than you need to, because the second you start to see progress, you want more, you want more, you want more. But the worst thing that you can do is get greedy, push for more than you need to, thinking you'll progress more. But essentially, when you do that, you are only using up the tools that you had prematurely. So you don't think of the bigger picture, the longer run of progression, you essentially start to make less progress. So for me, the cycle structure is super simple. I might start my cycle at 1,000 milligram and I'll build up over time and I might hit my peak for like the last 9 weeks. And I will only stay there for the last 9 weeks. But then the difference between me and other guys now is I'm in contest prep right now and my drug's at 500 milligrams. So when I go into contest prep, again, I'll reduce my drugs down and I'll work back up. And in my contest prep, my totals will probably be a 2,000 milligram total, maximum. But that's total, Niall. That's including orals and everything else. Whereas guys will talk to you and they'll be like, well, I'm running 750 test, 600 EQ, 200 MPP, but then they're doing 50 mgs of Anadrol, 50 mgs of Anavar from like 12 weeks out. So when you add in the totals, they're actually on a higher amount of drugs for much longer than I am, because they don't start here. They start here and then they keep layering on.
Mm.
So on paper, it might sound, fuck me, it's taking all this, but I'm not taking all this now. It's just brief periods of time where anabolics are at the peak and then things come down, reset, and will come back up.
Can you send me that blood work? Yeah. I'll see if the editor can put it up, overlay it as you're talking about that. That would be sick.
Right. I will send you a peak stress blood work. My ApoB, etc. Yeah, you'll get to see it. Oh, I'll send you my echocardiogram results as well, just because people don't really believe it. And that specifically, I did my echocardiogram as well in like peak of my cycle, peak body weight. Because if I was to repeat my echocardiogram now, when I've dropped a little bit of body weight and I've been 4 weeks into my health phase, my echocardiogram would be dramatically different. Let me tell you that. So I'm going to finish over my blood work like at their worst, which is like the peak. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. That's echocardiogram and the blood work sent, just because people like always say, are you talking shit? You're going to die. Your heart's this, your heart's that. I'm like, okay. And the last time I had an echocardiogram done like 3 years ago as well, my ejection fraction was actually lower and my heart size was actually worse. So somehow I improved not only my ejection fraction, and I improved the size of my heart as well, which is nuts, but I'll take it.
Fire.
Because of all the drama of the last company that I was working with, and I'm not trying to point any fingers or anything, but you guys definitely have probably heard what was going on. I've been a little bit skeptical, to be honest, and I've been wanting to find an HRT company that I could work with and that I could get my blood work done with, and that would offer me some proper guidance without upcharging all of my homies and shit. So there's this kind of crazy opportunity that I feel like the universe has granted, because it's not something that I searched for necessarily, but ended up being through connections with my closest friends. And it's this new company I was working with, Optimize HRT, which Nathan was recently discussing. And I just gotta say, man, I'm really proud of everything that they've created and everything that they're standing for. They're trying to take advantage of the fact that they know what went wrong with the last HRT company and trying to make sure that that doesn't happen this time, if you know what I'm saying, and doing things the right way. So this company is where I am getting my blood work done from, and basically getting all my health measures and protocols for longevity checked. And basically the difference between an HRT clinic and a research chem gray market source is that the HRT clinic works with a 5083 compounding pharmacy. You can get all your peptides and your medications prescribed by the doctor. If you're not getting a hormonal peptide or medication such as testosterone, nandrolone, winstrol, or anavar, which you can get prescribed to yourself if the need is shown, such as like osteoporosis or some other muscle wasting disease, then luckily you can get the peptides prescribed to you without having to get blood work done. But they do offer a $100 membership that includes free blood work, which is normally a $420 panel every 3 months. And with the membership, you also get a wellness specialist that is like your peptide coach that will, with the doctor, give you the best peptide protocol or medication protocol to make sure you reach your goals. And these are goals such as fertility goals, cutting down and getting fucking jacked, composition goals, longevity goals, basically everything that you can imagine that is fucking sick for dudes. The other great thing, aside from getting everything prescribed, which obviously you can show your destinations if you're traveling, your prescriptions, so you're not getting thrown into jail in Tokyo or some shit. It is sent with cooling, needles, and instructions, which is actually illegal for research chem science. And in terms of safety and quality, Optimize HRT does work with a 5038 compounding pharmacy, in which the FDA checks for its inflow and outflow currents to make sure that there are no vortexes that cause contamination, which yields the highest threshold of safety, basically. So this is on an opinion by opinion basis. Like, if you decide that you want to go the cheaper route, then normally gray market sources that are research chem sites will normally offer these for cheaper. Since the company is still new, they are offering their peptides at the lowest cost that they can in respect to other HRT companies, because they are trying to get their member base up. So if you are wanting to join an HRT clinic, now is probably the time. And that link is going to be in the description if you guys are interested. You could also use code NILE whenever you apply, because that helps your boy out and gives me a little reference and gives me some creds. So they know I'm sick and that people actually like the podcast, which would be pretty awesome. Since I am helping with the start of this company, I want to make sure that this is the best company that could possibly give us the best experience. So if you guys happen to have any questions or any concerns, bring this shit up with me, man, because I want to make sure that we all grow this to be the best that we can, and we all grow together, obviously, because otherwise my podcast is shit and everything that I've like worked for is like fucking pointless. So that's what it's all about, bro. It's family and brotherhood and us getting fucking yoked.
Just don't add in the top bit if you're going to add in the echocardiogram results for which hospital it is.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. ApoB in range. Let's go.
And listen now, I can promise you that there's not many bodybuilders that would send you the blood work over like this. I believe that. When it was at peak cycle, because a lot of people talk the talk, right? But I always back it up with evidence. I always back it up. So if I'm going to talk the talk, I need to make sure I walk the walk as well.
Yeah, for sure. Since you were bringing up Nandrolone and equipoise for two of the compounds that you would avoid running, especially at the higher dosages, what are your thoughts about guys who are running things like Anadrol in the off season? Do you ever feel like there's a place for that?
If I was to run Nandrolone in any phase of my off season, I would just get injured, because my body weight would jump up straight away. My ability to move more load acutely would be so much higher.
Mm-hmm.
And even someone that is an extremely skilled trainer with skilled execution, full control, when your strength jumps up so high, your connective tissue doesn't catch up that quickly. This is how people tear the shit. Now, the most important thing in an off season is slow progressive overload that needs to happen as a byproduct of adaptation. It's not that you grow muscle by just simply lifting heavier, right? You go in the gym, you train with high effort and appropriate volume. You break down the muscle tissue, that muscle adapts, and then if it adapts and grows back stronger, that is what gives you then the ability to move more weight. Having more muscle means more load on the bar, not other way around. And this is the biggest difference between training to actually build muscle tissue versus training to build strength. How strength adaptations happen and how hypertrophy happens is a complete other end of spectrum goal. You cannot do both effectively well. If you want to get strong, you need to train for strength. If you want to get big, you need to train with that goal in mind. And both are very different styles of training and very different setup when it comes to execution and when it comes to your volume parameters and even training frequency. So, man, I am not a fan of running any orals in off season because if you cannot eat, you cannot sustain a decent surplus. And again, the degree of surplus that's required to grow isn't as high as people think. You only need a small amount of surplus to grow. But also, if you put extra stress on your body, you probably limit how long you can gain for and limit your ability to stay on cycle, especially if your lipids get skewed from oral use. You probably have to stop the cycle prematurely. So what's going to build more muscle? Getting super strong for 5 weeks or getting slowly, progressively stronger over 20 to 25 weeks using compound selection that isn't going to fuck your blood work, isn't going to raise your blood pressure, giving you enough total milligrams to see you growth. What's going to build more muscle?
Dude, this is why I want something I never said, but if you're a bodybuilder, like you're in the space and you're competing and you're listening to this podcast, your mind is stronger than your body. Everyone's like, there's so many people that talk about, oh, like there's so many people that don't train hard, like science-based lifting, but all these people that are not doing that are not bodybuilders in this space that are so fucking determined. So that's why I like you talking about this stuff, is because I think most bodybuilders, that's why there's a reason why RP is actually applicable for a lot of fucking hardcore fucking bodybuilders, is because your body can only take so much stress at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And growing happens in a non-stressed state.
You need to be able to repeat consistent progressive training. If you are going in the gym and you're sending it to oblivion, which is something that I did for many years, you're actually going to grow less. I spent probably entire of 2020, 21, 22, 23, probably around that, yeah. Just going to the gym and being on a kamikaze mission. Every set would have 4 reps. Every set would be taking 2 and beyond failure. I was probably taking similar amounts of drugs that I am now, and I grew very little. I had very little muscle to show for it. I was moving a lot of weight. It was impressive. It was, very fun sets to do. It looked great on Instagram, but did it build me the muscle? No, because I wasn't able to recover from that sort of stimulus. I was just overcooking it way too much. The best approach that you can take to maximize your muscle growth, take as much anabolics as you can handle that are not going to fuck your lipids and fuck your health or blood pressure. And that's going to look very different based on individual. Your needs for anabolics will be very different as well. Some people will grow immensely well off 1,000 milligrams. Some people will need 2,000 milligrams. Some people might need 3,000 milligrams. It all depends on genetics and your own individual response. Training wise, you need to do the necessary work, not more, no less. And again, how that will look will change person to person. The difference that I see in terms of sets that people need to grow on a weekly basis is something between 45 to 50 weekly sets per week total, up to 75, 80, and 90 sets. That's the difference that you see. But how do you find out? You have to actually do this and assess to see how your body feels and assess to see the response that you see with your growth and progress. Like, you can't just pull arbitrary numbers out of your arse and say, Niall, you need this much training volume, you need this much food, this much drugs to grow. You won't know until you see the data You do the work, see the response, and then you change based off what you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to make it like as clear as possible so that people so people can actually take something away from this, where they can walk away from this podcast and have some practical tools to take away from on what potential they can do to improve as an athlete and with the training and drugs and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Why? I found this really interesting because you talked about this on a podcast. What is different about Jordan Peters, about JP, that makes him like, why? Because I know you understand him and the things that he does, but
I probably understand him more than anyone in this world because we speak every day. He's my best friend. His ability to focus and hyperfixate on a goal is unlike of anything I've ever seen. He's willing to do anything it takes to accomplish that goal. And that isn't just training. That's business. It's anything that he sets his mind to. Like, he's willing to do the things that people would not even fathom. He's willing to endure anything to reach that goal. And you can see this when Jordan will fixate on a lift. Like, he will hyperfixate on certain lifts so fucking much. He thinks about it every single day, all day, every day. And no matter what, he will achieve that goal. His mindset and his resilience is unlike anything I've ever seen. Like, his ability to focus and hyperfixate on things is just insane. And it's inspiring because even now, directly, indirectly, he teaches me so many things. And a lot of the things that I have done and I still do is from Jordan's teachings. And I will always give him credit because he has not only taught me many things when it comes to bodybuilding, but generally in life, he's taught me how to communicate better. And that's been a game changer. Like, he's been a lot of things to me. He's been a mentor. And he's not only led by example, but he showed me and instilled self-belief in me that I'm always capable of more because he shows that he can do more himself. And I feel like in order for you to believe that something can be achieved, you need to see someone do it. Nobody ever thought that anyone could ever deadlift 500 kilo until Eddie Hall did it. Nobody ever thought that they could run as fast until Usain Bolt did it. When you see that evidence of someone doing extraordinary things, and it could be extraordinary in various different ways, it gives you self-belief that it can be done.
Mm.
And when I speak to Jordan, knowing what he does, knowing what he's willing to endure to achieve a certain goal, gives me a kick up the arse to do better. Man, he's a wonderful person, and I think he's very misunderstood. He really is. And I don't think people give him enough credit for the impact that he's had on people in a positive way, especially in UK. Like, all of the educators in UK now, all of the top coaches, top athletes, they have all been coached and mentored by Jordan for years. Some of them have had some of the best showings with Jordan. Some of them have had their life being pretty much paved and their life being molded to what it is now from Jordan's help. Yet they never mention him. And that kills me because I know what Jordan did and the impact that he's had, both directly and indirectly. And I don't think people give him enough credit for what he's done and continues to do.
is there anything that Jordan does, anything at all, that, like you say, in one facet, you have to control so that your body can recover? Is there any place that he seems to pull back for that to be possible for him? Or is he just like a fucking different genetic beast?
Well,
or what is it that makes him be able to?
He's come off social media for that reason. He's just so focused right now. He doesn't want to be on socials. And And that's something I've noticed. I'm not sure if I've tried this, but I've got a limit on my phone for Instagram. I can only go on Instagram for 45 minutes in the day. That's it. So, mate, 45 minutes now is literally me doing my stories, reposting and resharing client stories, whatever I need to do, 2 posts, and that's like 20 minutes done. And bearing in mind, I never hit that 45-minute window. But one thing I've noticed is anytime I spend longer on social media, reading comments or anything as such, my energy dips, my resting heart rate increases. I almost get into such a high fight or flight response where I'm not able to relax. But also, when I've spent longer periods on Instagram, my ability to focus isn't the same. So for pretty much 2 years now, I do not go on Instagram until 12 o'clock at the earliest. So I do all of my tasks for the day, all of my work for the day first before I even touch Instagram. Because the second I go on it, I'm so distracted. So Jordan has incredible ability to be self-aware, to understand what takes his energy. Even now, like I know he'll not communicate to barely anyone apart from people that he works with. And even with me, I know when he needs space and when he's not as talkative because he's so locked in, he just needs his space. And some people need people around them. Jordan's the opposite. He needs to be on his own and almost like locked into like solitude and when he's on a mission. So he's very different in that fashion. He really is. And I think that's what separates him is like, and that's something I learn from him continuously. It's like, if I want to recover better, if I want to be a better coach, if I want to be a better in business, I need to do these things myself to protect my energy, protect my space. But he's exceptional at doing that. He really is. Like, he will literally just block everything out and just be on that mission, on that warpath to achieve his goals. And it's a conversation that we had not long ago because he really allowed things to get in his head with like socials, etc. And I was like, Jordan, like, remind yourself who you are, because Jordan from 2021, 2022, like, the man was like a man possessed. He was on a warpath. Nothing could get in his head. Nothing could derail him. And I think over time, some of it is obviously more responsibilities, being in limelight more, having, the amazing business that is built up. I think it almost makes you more vulnerable. And I think he's put things in place now to bring the savage back. And whenever he's in that mode, that's when incredible things happen. So, yeah.
Fuck. So what do you think about his intensity and his volume and his frequency?
He can recover from it. I listen. Okay. Oh. Would I do it? No. Could I recover from it? No. I'm not Jordan though.
Yeah.
Like the man's built different. Like, and bearing in mind, I haven't seen any pictures from it in a long, long time. So I don't know what he looks like at the moment, but I know he's very, very lean. I can always tell by his face. Like, he sent me a selfie the other day and I was like, yeah, you're fucking lean. Like, he's really lean. He's probably the leanest I've ever been. But listen, Jordan's self-aware enough to make adjustments based on what he needs to do. And Jordan, the best thing about Jordan as well is he will do these experiments. Like back in the day, Jordan got his programming to do reps in reserve back in the day when high volume and reps in reserve were in, when I think a lot of the guys that preach that training now don't actually follow that method anymore. Anyway, long story short, before he had me doing it, he was like, I'm going to try it. Don't do it. Keep doing what you're doing. I'll let you know the feedback. And like a few months later, it was like, yeah, don't fucking do it. You'll just get smaller, which he did. So, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So he just went back to training with lower volume or appropriate volume. Look, when it comes to volume, frequency, intensity, it's all very individual. And I think it's also body part specific. Some people can handle more volume, more frequency with certain body parts than others, but it also comes down to exercise selection. Jordan can train his lower on such a high frequent basis because of his ability to recover, but also his exercise selection and his programming. Some people try to do higher frequency and they're doing fucking barbell squats and RDLs. Like when you're training with high frequency, resistance profiles matter. It's not just your volume and frequency that matters. It's your compound selection, your exercise sequence. It's so much more nuanced. The game changes when it comes to certain training programs so much, as you will know yourself. So do I necessarily agree with what he's doing? I see the reason for what he's doing for him specifically. Do I think people need to follow it? No, because people do not have the skill in the gym to be able to execute lifts like he can at such low rep ranges with such high frequency to be able to get a meaningful stimulus to grow like he does. Roundabout answer, but I think I've answered this as in depth as I potentially could so that people don't blindly follow what he's doing thinking they'll get results like he will. And then people will try and follow it exactly like he is or exactly like he's talking about. And then they wonder, fuck me, I'm not really making progress or I'm constantly battered. Like, yes, you are, because you're not Jordan. You can't train like Jordan. You can't recover like Jordan. Therefore, you probably shouldn't consider training like Jordan.
Yeah. Almost all the greatest bodybuilders in the world have experimented and found out what was best for them and followed that. And I think one good example that's like that's an opposite of Jordan is, oh my God, dude. My king of brain farts. Jay. Like Jay Cutler, for example.
Oh, don't get me going.
Like that.
Hold up for
that training method. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to jump in now.
Yeah.
A lot of people think Jay Cutler trained with like extremely high volume, etc., but his volume wasn't really excessively high. And the way Jay Cutler actually trained was probably, when you look at his training, was probably 3 reps away from true failure. 3 reps away from true failure. Now, when you look at all the research, which I think is fucking complete nonsense, but when you look at real world application, you need to train hard without breaking yourself. What I personally found is keeping that 1 rep away from legit failure. For me, I make more progress because I don't break myself, but it also allows me to keep better execution.
Yeah.
Look how strong Jay was. What people fail to see is it wasn't 3 sets of light weight. It was 3 sets on an incline bench with 405. Dude, that is when high volume will work because it's higher volume with less proximity to failure, but still heavy load. So that volume accumulation was very, very high, but because he didn't train to such close proximity to failure, there wasn't that much muscle damage and there wasn't that much impact on his recovery. So he could repeat his training sessions consistently, come back, recover, perform, and keep growing safely. That method was incredible. And then you've got totally opposite end of the spectrum of Dorian Yates.
Mm-hmm.
And even Dorian, on paper, looked like he didn't do much, but 7 exercises in a session, building up to that maximum working weight, plus a drop set. When you actually calculated Dorian's volume, including the drop set rest pause sets, it probably worked out more like 12, 13 working sets a session, which is pretty much what I do per session. It's just that I do straight sets. I don't do rest pause sets or drop sets. People look at training volume in a very, very narrow-minded fashion. They only look at number of sets. They don't look at rep ranges. They don't look at resistance profile. They don't look at load. Training volume is not just number working of sets. Your training volume is your range of motion, proximity to failure, which is a huge one. How close to failure you actually train changes the volume dramatically. Exercise selection changes the volume. If you are using movements that are heavy in the stretch, that alone increases training volume indirectly. So there's a lot more to it when it comes to volume and how much volume you may recover from and how much volume you need. If you train on machines that are built from hammer strength, they're all quite heavy in the shortened range, you probably will be able to handle more volume. If you train on machines like Prime and you load them all up in the stretch position, you won't be able to handle as much volume.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where people say we shouldn't overcomplicate things training's simple. It really isn't that simple, Niall. It really isn't anymore, because we have all of these different splits, all these different machines, all this different information. There's no wonder people are fucking confused, because using a different machine in this day and age will change what you can do and tolerate. Back in 90s, they only had hammer strength. They only had very basic machines. They didn't have the machines that we have. So yes, bodybuilding was much more simple back then. However, it isn't anymore. It's a little bit more complex now if you want to maximize your progress.
I know that it's hard because for everybody, for most of these people that are trying to figure out what works best for them, they've been experimenting for these years, and it's hard for you to figure out what works best for you sometimes, aside from the fact that like, oh shit, I'm not recovered by the next training session. But in terms of like rep range, in terms of frequency, in terms of like overall volume, do you need a higher level of volume and pulling back a little bit, or do you need a lower level of volume and training extremely intense and as close to failure as possible? And I'm super confident that, and I've talked about this before, so for some people I'm chatting their ear off, but I'm extremely confident that if you just take the time to get your genetics tested, there is a couple markers in there that will help give you the percent chance.
Or trial and error. Try all these different styles and see where you feel the best. See what you feel like gives you the ability to repeat progression on the gym floor. Genetics aside, the most important variable is you being able to consistently repeat high effort training. That is it. It's not necessarily just about getting stronger. It's about you being able to repeat high effort training with quality. And genetic testing aside, a lot of it will come down to personality. If I know someone is very intense, you tell them to keep reps in reserve, they're probably going to laugh at you. If someone is that intense, and someone has that mindset, you are better off programming less volume for them, because you know they are going to attack the sets with more intent than others. Then if you have someone like Jay on the other side, very mellow personality, very calm, very calculated, they will probably need more volume. So sometimes it's actually worth speaking to the person, understanding what their psychologies are. That can actually give you a good reference point for what they will actually need from a training standpoint, based off how they carry themselves or you how they speak.
That's a good point, bro. So my entire childhood was me never feeling enough. So I always feel like I need to do 8 sets of every single muscle group and go to failure at every single set. Fantastic.
Do you need to eat, by the way? Do you need to eat?
No, I'm okay.
I need to eat, bro.
Okay, well, we'll both eat. I'm gonna
let's eat. Because I'm actually going a little bit hypo here, bro.
We'll start wrapping this up. Before we go to the Q&A real quick, let you get a couple bites in. That's a real ass bodybuilder right there. There's some big ass fucking spoonfuls. I hope you guys are killing your cardio right now. No, what? Why? This is the real shit, man. This is the best shit. You've talked about peptides a little bit. Imagine a client is on top of everything. What are the peptides that you would be open to them using, in what kind of case scenarios?
Okay, do you know what? Actually, thank you for bringing this up, because I actually forgot to talk about peptides. Because I do think, against the contrary belief, I think they are extremely effective. I had a client struggling with EGFR, cystatin C, struggling with ejection fraction as well. Since we implemented SS31, SLUPP consistently, we haven't backed off his doses. Bearing in mind his doses probably escalated. Ejection fraction went from 43 to 68. And then his kidney values have gone from pretty shit consistently, cystatin C being quite over by a long shot, to all in range, without backing off his doses, without backing off the cycles.
Oh, nice.
SLUPP, I think, is one of the most undervalued tools for heart health and managing lipids as well.
Hasn't there been like a small percentage of people that have their blood pressure potentially rise a little bit from using that though?
Devil's in the dose, my friend.
Okay.
I'm referring to most of doses of 250 micrograms, 500 micrograms, up to 1 milligram daily. I'm not talking about 20 milligrams per day. What I have found the most effective, SS31 at low doses, especially for guys that do struggle with kidney function at slightly higher doses. SOUPP moved in and out throughout phases. So I will periodize it year round. I feel like it's made a massive difference to heart health in general, but also keeping people more insulin sensitive. And then MOXT at low dose as well, I think is incredible. And then BPC and TB500 also insane, I think, year round for other benefits, not just connective tissue health. Real helpful.
You don't feel like you need to cycle BPC and TB?
Again, just because you don't feel the effect of something doesn't mean it's not working. Right. This is just like saying, when you take 40 micrograms of Clen, just because you're not shaking anymore doesn't mean the Clen isn't working. Doesn't mean you need more Clen. The Clen's still working. It's just that the side effect has subsided. That's where a lot of people get confused between the effect of the compound versus side effect.
Okay. I do feel you can make the argument though with gear, for example, that after a certain point, obviously after a really long point, you got to come off because your risk to benefit ratio changes in a negative profile.
I don't think it's risk to benefit ratio. I think, right, the blood work I sent you, right? That's me at the end of my cycle, peak off season, peak cycle. Would you say I need to come off? Based on the blood work, would you say I need to come off?
Just based off of the blood work though.
Right. I still think you need to come off because what you cannot measure is the buildup of oxidative stress and almost the sympathetic tone that you get from the gear. You get to a point where you don't see any more growth after a certain point of being a surplus and being on higher androgens. And where you see this the most is like, you almost start to feel a little bit, the only way I can describe it is like you feel unhealthy, where you feel a little bit slower, your body isn't as responsive, sleep isn't quite as good. For me, it's going to be after being in off season for like 30 weeks up to 35 weeks and being on cycle for like 25 weeks, 26 weeks. I feel like 1, I need to come off, 2, I need to diet. And that's, I think both of these things synergistically, dropping your drugs down, dieting, dropping some body fat, just not only resets you to create more runway for growth again, but it gets your body back into a healthier spot straight away.
But do you always drop your gear whenever you cut down too? No. Do you ever worry about like the muscle mass preservation?
I don't drop gear down for 99% of people into a diet. I only do it for people like me, where I know I can sustain my training performance initially without higher drugs.
Okay. Gotcha.
If you can stay strong, you don't need gear in place. Training performance is everything, right? So for most people, I will do like a maintenance phase and a health phase, then go into prep and then re-escalate back up. For me, I actually do it backward where I finish my off season, I drop the drugs down, I start prep, and then I re-escalate once I've got that initial health phase out of the way whilst I'm dieting, because I can retain the muscle and training performance with low anabolics.
Okay. Gotcha. Awesome. I've seen some similar benefits from using SLU and SS. I haven't been using SLU in the off season, of course, but there's a lot of periods of time, especially like during the health phase and ramping up in the off season. I would utilize it on certain days. Like sometimes I would even utilize it on rest days when I do additional amounts of cardio. But I started using SS31 for a similar reason that you have been implementing, and it's also whenever I take it like pre-workout, also it reduces the time between, it reduces my rest period in between sets, or my need for rest period in between sets, which is kind of cool.
When did you take it?
The SS has been really recent. The SS was like last week for like a few trying to remember exactly how long, but yeah, I just finished off the last of the SS31 like last week.
What's your
This
current,
just makes me.
what's your
What's
current cycle? What's your current cycle? Everything. List everything out.
600 test, 500 primo, 4.5 IUs of GH. On the rest days, I switch to testosterone and it gets me better sleep. Me and Andrew Berry also think that the use of testosterone in the long term is going to yield a little bit less insulin resistance than the higher these doses of GH that we're taking.
This is where we're going to disagree, my friend.
Wait, what?
This is where we'll disagree. I don't think
Okay, tell me.
GH doesn't drive insulin resistance.
You don't think you're just on the camp of it doesn't drive insulin resistance at all?
If you use it during the day, yes. If you take it before bed, no. What drives insulin resistance is people just overdoing the surplus whilst taking GH. GH changes the way your body utilizes energy. Your body shifts into utilizing fat as fuel. Therefore, you will notice higher blood sugar on paper. This is where a lot of people measure the fasting blood sugar, like, oh, my blood sugar is higher, but it's like, that's not indicative of where your insulin sensitivity is. HbA1c will give you a true picture. You can see in my blood work, HbA1c is in range. It's actually pretty low. That blood work was sent and done using 15 IUs of growth, eating 5,500 calories per day. Why am I not insulin resistant?
When did you take the GH and how often?
Before bed, every day.
Only before bed?
Only before bed, every day, yep.
I think the GH resistance, I think it's most prominent in people who take it frequently multiple times per day and at night. Or
That's exactly what happens.
just multiple times per day. Yeah.
GH doesn't drive insulin resistance alone. It's how you take it. If you take it and you're eating high amounts of carbs all day, every day, and you're splitting up tiny doses, that's how you drive insulin resistance. It's not GH itself. It's more so how you use it, which is not really smart in my opinion.
Okay. I like your anecdote though. I think it's super valuable that you have that anecdote of 15 IUs of GH just before bed and that's how your bloods look.
No insulin resistance.
Yeah, that's cool.
This isn't just me, by the way.
Because I still thought that high doses of GH, even if it's just before bed, will still affect it a little bit with the off-season calorie intake that's constant for a long period of time.
So most people will tell them GH is causing insulin resistance, yet they're doing 5,000 calories from burgers every single week, and they're seeing the HbA1c and blood glucose trend weekly. That's not GH, bro. That's the burgers that you're eating. Also, the split up the GH morning and night, they're in a constant state of higher glucose in the bloodstream because of the way GH works. Take your GH once per day. Take it before bed. Don't overeat. Keep your surplus small. It's not GH that drives insulin resistance, I can promise you. If it was, myself and probably hundreds of other people that I know that take decent amounts of GH would see same issues. The only time I see those issues is poor timing of GH and poor nutrition.
Okay. Yeah, the main time I've seen the issues is with the frequency of GH during the off season.
We can run an experiment now on yourself.
Yeah, you got me thinking now. Well, testosterone gets me better sleep anyway, so I'm gonna keep doing it on the rest days. At least I have one reason still. But are there any other peptides that you're a proponent of? I've just enjoyed the SS31 I've been getting from APR for that reason that we were talking about as of recent. But
SS31 from Proforma, MOTS-C, I really like low doses. The low doses, I'm talking 500 mcgs daily.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you take a low dose, a lot of people say it will inhibit growth. I don't think it will. I think these peptides can actually inhibit growth if you take too much of them. BPC, Cloblend, TB500, but also TB4. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but TB4
I have.
does have some amazing properties of heart health. That's something I use every day as well. Especially
Isn't that the one for is that the one for your immune system too?
TB1.
Okay. Yeah.
We've got TB1, TB4. I think TB4 is more so for that heart health. So that's the one I'll actually be using as well. And occasionally, Cloblend. I'm not sure if you can tell, my friend, but the skin is glowing. Look at that. Sometimes Cloblend, I think, does a good job, yeah.
Fire.
L-carnitine. I think L-carnitine should be a staple as well. I think even some of the research, like with the heart health benefits, taking a very low dose before bed. I know a lot of people actually mix it with the growth before bed. I'm pretty sure Broderick Travers is a really huge proponent of that, but I take L-carnitine every single day as well,
Cool.
with the peptides.
Broderick's coming on the podcast next week. If you happen to have any questions.
Looking forward to it.
Cool. Awesome. All right. That's like 75% of the stuff that I've been using for APR and Optimize. Good now, shameless plug. So are you one of the guys that are on the side of IGF-1 is useless?
Incorrect, no. Incorrect is extremely effective. I've used it myself, and
oh, nice.
And I have seen clients use it with crazy results. And I mean, crazy results. Just like any other drug, right? Some people are hyper responders to testosterone. Some people are hyper responders to growth hormone. One of my clients, like, amazing response to growth, not an amazing response to PEDs. So we actually keep his total anabolic load down lower, and we do leverage growth at higher doses because he responds so well to it. Just your normal IGF-1 that you'll take from like a compounding pharmacy or peptide website, I think that doesn't really do much. It might give you a better pump. If you get a better pump, you might get better mind to muscle connection. You might get better indirect stimulus on that muscle when you train. So I think that could potentially be a benefit. But when it comes to the real deal, Increlex, I think it does an amazing job. However, I would not take any more than like 1 milligram of it. And I know that the usual dosing is like 2 milligram before training, 2 milligram after training, which is crazy. And that is generally when you see people blow up, like
it's a lot,
like crazy blow up. But again, Increlex is pretty damn expensive. So if you're taking 4 milligrams a day, a full bottle will last you 10 days if you train every day. A 40 milligram bottle. So I mean, if you have unlimited funds and you've got like $1,500 a time, and you can afford that, then happy days.
God, it's fucking expensive, dude.
It is.
If you get it for any better price, I'm wondering where it is asking for.
Anyone want to sponsor me, Increlex, let me know. Guys, open for offers.
Let's run this Q&A real quick because we're running out of time. I feel really bad because I wanted to ask you about training and prep. Honestly, just real quick, do you adjust training during prep for any reason? And if so, wait, that didn't make any sense. Yeah, dude. Fuck.
Yes.
Whatever.
So training and prep in off season. In an off season, just like anabolics, right? You will need more to grow more. In prep, I think your ability to retain muscle is not dictated by training volume alone. It's more so mechanical tension, your ability to sustain strength. What is the most effective way to do that? Is slightly reducing your training volume. I'm not a fan of cutting your training volume in half. However, let's say on average you hit 14 working sets per session now. What would be a smart thing to do? When you get in prep and you start to get leaner and you notice a slight decrease in your training performance, what would be a smart move is shaving a set away from each session and then assessing your training performance after that. I think having a small reduction in training volume not only can manage fatigue in a way where fat loss will be easier. I know it's counterintuitive where you think you'll do less and you'll progress more. But in fact, if your fatigue is not extremely high, you will see better fat loss because your NEAT will be much higher. When you are smashed and you're constantly fatigued, you move around less. Your expenditure is lower throughout the entire day because you're tired. You're trying to conserve energy. Without even realizing, you will move much slower and much less, and that alone will expand much less calories. If you shave off a set or two from your session, you remain stronger and you're not as battered, your overall NEAT and calorie expenditure will increase indirectly through just simply moving about more and having more energy. The first thing that I would do if you have set extensions, so anything like a rest pause set, myo-rep sets, drop sets, if you have any of that shit in your plan, the second you transition to prep, that needs to be cut straight out. Your training is very much dictated by your fuel intake. Less you eat, less fuel you have. When you have less fuel going in, having training strategies in place that are more demanding from a glycogen store perspective, such as set extensions like drop sets or any metabolic work, any higher rep sets, it's not going to have the same benefit in prep. So if I was to give you an overview of what you should be considering going to contest prep is, first, remove any set extensions, no drop sets, no my rep sets, no rest pause sets. Try to keep your reps clean and only train to or close to failure. Ideally, if you train really hard, 1 rep away from true legit failure. Not only to preserve your strength, but also manage fatigue. Fatigue management is a thing. When you're big and strong, it really is. And if you don't think it is, you probably haven't really been a bodybuilder yourself and gone through the process yourself or understand the basics with training and bodybuilding. Secondly, adjust your rep ranges. If you have been doing any high rep work, it's probably not a smart thing to do so when you are not in a hypercalorific state. Third point, as you get closer to the show, reduce your training volume based off your training performance. Some people might not need to. I know I can retain my strength pretty well because my volume is already quite moderate. However, I will still make a slight reduction because when I get to a certain point and I literally remove 1 working set per session, I actually see a noticeable increase in strength at that point in prep. That is when I actually look fuller, rounder, and bigger. People think that doing more sets will drive more fullness. It's the opposite. Doing more work that you cannot recover from, you just end up flatter. But also, people try and train for a pump or chase a pump in prep. It's the worst mistake you can make. That is how you end up getting flat, small, and weak, because they end up doing more sets because they're not getting a great pump. A pump is facilitated by your food intake. You are in a calorie deficit. It's not realistic to be getting the same pump that you was getting in an off season. It's not that your training needs to be longer or you're not doing enough work. It's just that your pump is not there because you don't have the food that facilitates it. That's it. It's
the reason why a lot of people are only doing that full body pump like the last day of training before the show.
Yeah,
when they're all fully carb.
Oh man, even then, think about this now. Sorry to interrupt you there, but you've carb loaded into the show. Why would you do a training session, a full body night before, when you've just filled up with carbs? What does training do? Does it fill your muscle glycogen, or does training deplete your muscle from glycogen? What does it do?
Deplete.
Right. So why would you do that after completing a carb load?
I wonder if, there's a lot of people who don't do it the day before the show. They do it like 2 days before the show.
That makes more sense.
Maybe midday.
Yep.
Or just I would assume to help shuttle.
Or do the training before they start eating, or even early in the day. That probably makes more sense because then your ability then to absorb nutrients will be higher for the training. That makes more sense. What also doesn't make sense is, and man, that's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. When I have clients prep, I will make them pose on an extreme frequent basis early in prep to build resilience, build posing stamina. In peak week, that is not the time to do excessive rounds of posing. Posing can be equally as challenging as training in some cases. Now, the way I will work posing, for example, in a peak week, I will have clients do 5 to 6 poses for assessment only. And that could be 3-4 times in a day. But it would literally be 6 poses. You're not doing posing rounds. You're literally hitting 6 shots. That's it. You're laying down the rest of the time. I hear a lot of people saying you should eat then pose after every meal. So you're eating with the goal of filling up your muscle, and then you are doing a light form of cardiovascular work straight after you've eaten whilst attempting to fill that muscle up. When someone is already in a depleted or fatigued state, all you are doing then is laying an extra fatigue on. Posing doesn't shuttle glycogen inside the muscle. What shuttles glycogen inside the muscle is good digestion, good insulin sensitivity, and being in a rested state. If someone's eating, then they're doing rounds of posing, resting heart rate's elevated, the blood is not getting sucked into the gut to aid digestion, the blood's getting sucked into the muscle. They might feel fuller in the muscle temporarily, but it's not actually helping with the glycogen uptake in any way, shape, or form, it does the opposite. So you see this sometimes with guys that look amazing a week out. Peak week comes, they start doing all that shit, and they just end up looking weird or withered on stage. And I've done that shit myself many, many times. So if anyone's listening to this, hopefully it helps them to not fuck the peak week up by doing stupid shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Okay, bro. I think we're going to have to save a lot of these Q&As for another time.
Bro.
For a second episode.
We can do a training deep dive, make any questions you want. Or if there's anything that I said that you don't agree with or you want to challenge, we can always have a back and forth. And listen, I will always say this now, right? I'm not always right. If I'm wrong, I will hold my hand up and say, I'm not the smartest geezer. I never will be, but I fucking love this shit and I like to learn. So there's always something that I am open to discuss with, and I'm always an open book. I've got a really open mind where I'm not set in my ways. I'm always willing to explore new ways, explore learning, exploring development, and I always want to get better. So I'm not the type of geezer that thinks my way is the best way. I have a lot of confidence in what I say and what I do because it does bring a good result. So when you know something works, you have the confidence behind it. But at the same time, I also understand that there is so much more I can learn and develop with time. And I think that's always an exciting concept because doing what we do, the more we learn, the more we know, more progress we can make. And that's a beautiful concept in bodybuilding, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. God, dude, I have so much to say. I have so much we're going to have to do this again. You know that, right? We have to.
Man, anytime, man. Anytime.
I'm so sorry, guys, but I screenshotted all your questions. I'm going to force him to come back on, and we're going to go through all these questions because there's a lot of great ones. Especially Kate Paredes asking, have you ever done any drugs like Coke or Molly while in prep or the off season?
In prep, no. In my health phases, yes, I've done plenty. I think my record once in 2014, I think I probably did 12, 13 pills in one night.
Wow.
That's not including the ketamine, the cocaine, and the MDMA.
Wait. 12 to 13 pills of what?
Well, some of them were 2 CBs, so some of them definitely. Some of them were 2 CBs because I could see sounds at some point. There's a place called Mint Warehouse in Leeds. Mint Warehouse, you would love it. It's dingy. It's amazing.
Fire.
I remember they had a night called Jesus. It's a Seth Troxler, eats everything, Jackmaster. And I remember someone gave me this pill. I necked it. And like, don't let me describe it. I could hear the sound, but I could also see it. So it definitely had acid because, man, time just stopped. And it felt like I was there for days. It was incredible. I mean, I've got a bit of a sensation thinking about it now, but man, I'm really glad that I had those times, but I probably would not repeat that now. Jesus Christ.
That's hilarious. Dude, I just got to say this story real quick. I was joking around with Urs, and these are just jokes, right? But I was like, all right, I was asking a bunch of people at the Arnold, I was like, all right, if you guys could pick three of your top things that you would just, if you could only have 3 things, what would they be? And I said mine would be test HCG and Cialis. And then Urs says an answer, and he says, test Molly and water.
Yes, I have to agree. My first experience, right? My first experience, and I'll give a Jenna a shout out. If you listen to this, Jenna, she's probably not, but I was 18 years old, and I remember back then I wasn't against drugs because all my friends did drugs, recreational drugs, but I always said to myself, like, I don't see the need to have it. No, I never will want to do it. I'm not really interested. And the thing is, I love music. I love deep house. I love techno. So I used to go to all of the events sober, and I still do. And I remember Heidi. I'm not sure if you ever listened to Heidi, but she's got like a really upbeat style. And she was playing at Fez Club in Sheffield, Heidi Jackathon. And she slipped half a gram of MDMA in my drink. And bear in mind, I don't drink. So I was drinking this Diet Coke. I'm like, this Diet Coke tastes really fucking weird, Jenna. Like, what's up with it? Is it off or something? She was like, oh, it's fine, just drink it. And the club was like really low ceiling. The sweat and condensation was dripping off the roof on your head. So like, I was really thirsty. So I downed this Diet Coke. 20 minutes later, the only way I can describe it, Niall, is I was literally coming in my pants for like 4 hours straight. I was just stood there like my bottom lip was just going like this. Like they all just looked at me. They started laughing. I was like, this is the best feeling I've ever had in my entire life. And the only way I could describe it, and this is me not promoting doing these things, stay away from it, guys. Don't do it, especially if you have bodybuilding goals, because I probably lost about 2 stone that night. But man, the only way I can describe it is like, it was like having an orgasm for like 4 hours straight. It was unbelievable. Like every beat as well that she did, I was like, oh, not this again. It was insane. It was pretty good. Yeah.
That's hilarious, man. I wish I could say this. I have to keep his name secret, but I have a friend that most of the people in this audience know, who went to EDC for the very first time, his very first rave, like a few days ago. And he said the exact same thing about, I think, taking his first, I don't know, maybe it was his second time doing Molly.
I can probably guess who it is.
All right. Anyways, Lush Nip says, glad to see you on Nile podcast. And then there's someone else saying, like, would you ever coach Nile?
I think I probably wouldn't be a good mix. I don't know. Wait, you've actually got coached by Pat, right?
Patrick. So, yeah, Patrick Tour.
Pat's pretty strict. I would probably say
he's extremely fucking strict, dude.
I'm probably more strict than Pat in some ways.
Oh shit!
Because I wouldn't let you, right, stay up as late at night as you are now. I would be on there. So I would be like, listen, especially if you was in prep, like, and the thing is,
dude, I would not be able to do this on prep.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, I don't just pay attention to your diet. I pay attention to a lot of lifestyle stuff, especially guys that are pros. And I'll always say this, right? If you're a pro and you come to me and you say you want to come to the Olympia, you want to go to the Olympia, I will hold you to that standard. And I feel like a lot of people, when they come to me and they say that they have all these goals, when I hold them to that standard, it's like make or break time. I either make them or I break them. So it's give or take. But listen, it all comes down to someone's goals, right? If you come to me and you have this goal, I will hold you to that standard. And I feel like you probably don't know what that standard is yet when it comes to how you live your life as an athlete. So your meal timing, your daily routine, your structure, all of the things that you're probably very relaxed with, looking outside in, I would be on your ass so fucking much. But it would make you an incredible athlete, because with your proportions, the way a physique flows, you need fucking 10 pounds more muscle in your frame. But when you have that 10 pounds more muscle, it's fucking game over for a lot of people. How much weight have you got in your weight cap?
It's 17.
Yeah. 10 pounds of muscle, game over for most people. 15 pounds of muscle on your frame, and it's probably, top 3 at Olympia, 100%. But,
bro, don't do that to me.
but being real, for you to get there, you're going to have to be all in. Like, no partying, no fucking around, no late nights, no missing meals, no fucking protein bars. You need to be all in, because I've heard of a saying, right? To become the thing, you need to do the thing, or you need to do the thing to become the thing. I think I'm saying it backwards. If you want to be a top Olympian, you need to do the work like a top Olympian now. You don't become a top Olympian by luck. Like, you have the potential to do that, but that's where the game changes, and it's going to require you to actually change a lot of the habits and work. But listen, that's also a progressive process, because I can imagine where you are now and where you operate is probably far better than you have been in past. I can probably in past, you've probably been a lot more relaxed than you are now, right? So
It's back and forth. In the past, I was less knowledgeable, but there was times where I was just bringing chicken breast, straight chicken breast everywhere. That's all I was eating, including like going to the festivals I was when I was like 22. My friends were making fun and taking videos of me just eating and weighing chicken breast.
So I used to have chicken shakes and tuna shakes every rave.
Fire,
I'd
dude.
I'd get on
Chicken
it.
shakes.
Dude, all of my friends will vouch for this. I would get on it. I would get on it, but I never ever missed a meal. Not once.
Yeah, yeah.
Not once.
I never missed a meal either, but the shit that we had to eat and smuggle in was disgusting for sure.
Well, anyway.
But I didn't do a tuna shake. That's crazy.
Tuna chicken shakes me back in the day. But anyway.
Holy fuck.
The point being is, like, you will progressively need to do more. And the analogy I give people for this is this. It all works until it doesn't, right? And you see this with top athletes, top Olympians. They've been doing a certain thing that got them to where they are now, but now they are just not really stepping forward. They're not really changing. They're not really making the leaps forward that they have been in past. That's because they're not willing to do the extra work that's required to do that. You will only get so far doing what you do right now. It's the same with training. You will only build a certain amount of muscle lifting the same weight. You will eventually need to progress one way or another through either adding more load on the bar or doing more sets or any other way. Any means of progressive overload needs to happen. The same needs to happen with your lifestyle. How you live only gets you so far. The more progress you make, more locked in you have to get. But it's a process. I think you need to nurture people towards that. And they need to want it and be ready for that themselves as well. Because if they're not, it could be a bit of a battle. But it's all doable, man.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, brother.
I would probably lock you up in a camp, take you to my future facility that's work in process, very, very soon, and then probably keep you there for a little while.
New facility working in process.
Yeah,
sounds a little sus and a little crazy.
Well, I'm moving to Dubai, so there's something.
Oh shit! Oh, that's sick. Okay, all right. I'll stay in touch. If you had one message that you could send to the entire world tomorrow, and you could, and you were going to disappear from the world today, what would the message be?
When I was 15, 16, when I stopped boxing and started bodybuilding, I started training in a real old school bodybuilding gym. It was rough. A lot of people that trained at that time was less than legitimate businessmen, and a lot of people made a lot of fun of me because I blew up. I stopped boxing. And when I boxed, I trained like 3 hours every day. So going from training 3 hours every day to then not training 3 hours every day, lifting weights, eating 6 meals a day, that was literally me, 6 meals a day straight away at like 15, 16 years old. I blew up pretty quickly. That's without introduction of gear yet. And they always laughed at me and said, like, what are you doing, you little idiot? Like, you're never going to be a bodybuilder. You're going to be this, you're going to be that. Some of these guys now train at my gym. Some of these guys now train at my gym that used to ridicule me for training and following my passion. If I was to stop based off people's opinions and not follow my dreams and my passion, where would I be? Who would I be? Would I be happy? I'm never going to be a Mr. Olympia. I'm never going to be some of the greatest bodybuilders ever. I'm never going to be an amazing pro, and I accept that. That's not why I do it. I do this because I genuinely love it, and I have a deep passion for it, and I wake up every single day, and I feel like I have a purpose. I'm happy, and I cannot wait to start my days now. Nothing in the world compares to that. If you find your passion in this world, guys, I don't give a fuck what it is. And it doesn't matter if you're not the best at it either. As long as it doesn't cause harm to anyone else, follow your passion and do what makes you happy. Please do not concern yourself with people's opinions on what you should and shouldn't do. It does not fucking matter in any way, shape, or form. If it did, imagine where I would be right now if I just accepted that I'm not going to be fucking Phil Heath. Well, should I give up then? Should I stop doing what I do? Why would I? When it's given me an amazing life, and most importantly, it's given me purpose. It's given me an incredible family. It's given me incredible friends. It's given me a life that I could only fucking dream of as a kid coming out of Poland, living in a fucking 1-bedroom flat with my mom and dad and my brother. So please, guys, find your passion, fucking pursue it fiercely and protect it as much as you possibly can. Do not let anyone derail you. Life is too short to live an unfulfilled life. If bodybuilding gives you purpose, do it. Even if you're not the best at it, just make sure you stay healthy, keep on top of your health checkups, and make sure it doesn't cause harm to people around you.
Fuck yeah. Where can people find you for coaching?
Right. Instagram, Hotmail, Kuba@hotmail.co.uk. Instagram, YouTube. You can find me on all of these funnels, on all these channels. I'm always there. I'm always posting. I post at least 2-3 times a week on YouTube now, and at least 2-3 times a day on Instagram. So if you want to follow along, you know where I am.
Bet. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Big shout out, Tren by JP. Big shout out, Jordan Peters. Thank you for everything. Shout out to Charles Marden, my business partner, Ultraflex. And big shout out to my wife, making it all happen. She's, I mean, I know that you've had your troubles based off what I've listened to on previous podcasts, but man, I can relate to certain situations, especially when it comes to women. But when you find a woman that's willing to be by your side through thick and thin, and is willing to endure you being at your worst, that's when you know you've probably found the one, because I've been with her now since 2018, 17, 18-ish. I'll probably count as 2018. And she's definitely put up with a lot, because during that time, that was my years of not understanding who I am and not understanding much about myself or my emotions. So as you can imagine, she's pretty resilient to stay by my side and go through what she did, with just how emotionally challenged I was. It was definitely tough to be with me, because with how hot and cold I was, you know, some days being loving, some days not wanting her near me. Out of what we spoke about earlier, it's probably been a tough ride for her, but it's definitely paid off, because she gets to reap the rewards now with the way I am, or way I try to be anyway.
Did you ever feel like you were about to dip if your partner felt like they were less committed? Like they changed? Did you ever feel like you were about to dip before, if you felt like your partner was suddenly less committed or less interested in staying in the relationship, or seemed likely to leave?
I was about to dip, as in leave, before that even happened. Like, do you know where my partner was like all in for me? That's when I would push them away. On the other hand, when they became less interested and they didn't want me around, that's when I would, back in the day, want them more, because I would want what I don't have. When they didn't give me attention, when they didn't give me attention, I craved it. When they gave me attention, I rejected it, just down to emotional immaturity, but also down to not knowing how to handle that sort of emotion, and not knowing how to handle these, the feelings that you get with someone giving you affection, and how to accept it or how to work with it.
Okay.
Bit of a weird one, that you probably didn't expect that, did you?
Well, you said this a little bit in the beginning of the podcast, but we'll continue this conversation in the follow-up.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about for sure. And I have a lot to figure out for myself too. So,
well, you're on your way there, so it's all going to come good.
Thank you, bro. Thanks for coming on, man. This was
Appreciate
epic.
it, man. Appreciate
the
it,
information level is crazy. So I think people will appreciate it for sure.
I do our best. This is why I want to do it in the morning, because in the morning, I'm always going to be a little bit more fired up to give you my best self. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you making time. Really means a lot.
No, of course, man. This was awesome. This is the latest I've stayed up in the last few weeks, and it was, I would much rather be up doing this at 1:30 than being at EDC. So,
well, definitely a better option, my friend. It's just if it was in person, right, we could get a party going a little bit, and maybe in 20 years, what we'll do, we'll revisit it. We'll do it in Colombia, and then I've actually got some stories to tell you from Colombia as well.
Fuck.
Yeah. What we'll do in 20 years' time, we'll do another Q&A episode soon, but in 20 years' time, we'll do a live podcast in Colombia, get on the sesh, and then see where that takes us.
Okay, nice. Mike's wife is Colombian, and she's going to bring us to Colombia sometime soon, probably with Jared Feather. So I'm going to bring you along.
I love Colombia.
Later, brother. Thanks again.